Tribulation Transcendence Realm. Such a great demon is definitely a disaster for us humans. I wonder if Yang Tiandong can escape. Sigh. Tribulation Transcendence Realm. Such a great demon is definitely a disaster for us humans. I wonder if Yang Tiandong can escape. Sigh. Mo Fujo sighed. The thought of Great Sage Green Python's terrifyingness made him shiver. He didn't want to face him again. Look, it's very dangerous outside. Brother Mo, why don't you stay in the Jade Pure sect in the future? Hanju said meaningfully. Mo Fujo did not immediately refuse. Instead he sighed. His Dao heart had indeed wavered. Although most of the Mo family's enemies had been eliminated, and the remaining forces did not dare to cause trouble for them, he and Zhou Fan were both fiendish cultivators. It wasn't appropriate for them to stay in the Jade Pure sect. Xian Shishir stared at Hanju and asked with a smile, "Does fellow Taoist Han have a Dao companion?" Hanju nodded and asked, "Why do you ask?" He didn't mention the relationship between Xian Shishir and Xian Qingjun. He was still wary of Xian Qingjun. What if she was up to something? Nothing. Xian Shishir shook her head and smiled. She didn't intend to reveal her connection with Xian Qingjun. Xian Qingjun said that Hanju didn't know her true identity. The two of them did not disturb him for long. After chatting for a while they left. From the beginning to the end, Xian Shishir didn't develop any favorability toward Hanju. As soon as they left the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, Hanju immediately entered the simulation trial and fought with her. At the 6th level of the body integration realm, Hanju fought against Xian Shishir, who was at the 9th level of the body integration realm. Instant kill. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. After defeating such a weak Xian Shishir, it seemed that Great Sage Green Python might not be that strong. If it were him, Xian Shishir wouldn't have been able to save Mo Fujo and Zhou Fan from him. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Sage Green Python. He had never seen the python before, so he could only curse using the name, and the actual effectiveness was unknown. West Abyss 9 Dragons Sect. Huang Zuantian returned to his palace. When the door closed, he let out a long sigh. "I'm finally back. I can't go out anymore, and I can't save just anyone." Huang Zuantian smiled bitterly. Recalling what had happened, he couldn't help but tremble. A few years ago, a large sect invited all the sect masters in the world to discuss the Tao together and build a good relationship. Huang Zuantian and the true martial sect's sword elder, Shangguan Qiujian, went. While the sect masters were discussing the Tao in the deep mountains, they happened to encounter Great Sage Green Python, pursuing Yang Tiandong. Huang Zuantian knew Yang Tiandong. After all, he used to be the sect master of the Raincoat sect. Therefore he saved him. As a result, he incurred Great Sage Green Python's wrath. Even with all the sect masters working together, they were still no match for him. Great Sage Green Python was too powerful. If not for the fact that there was a powerful cultivator nearby, Great Sage Green Python might have killed all of them. Huang Zuantian couldn't help but think of Hanju. Would that senior be able to defeat him? Immediately, Huang Zuantian started healing. Unfortunately, things never went as planned. Great Sage Green Python had defeated more than 10 demon kings, and his prestige had soared. More and more demons joined his ranks. In his fury, he began to take revenge on the demon king who had attacked him. The demon king had been killed by him, and his subordinates had to submit or die. In the short span of a few years, Great Sage Green Python's power had skyrocketed. He had begun to advance toward the human race. He used the excuse of chasing after Yang Tiandong to attack the human territory. Yang Tiandong was once half human, half demon. Great Sage Green Python had claimed that Yang Tiandong had already transformed into a human. If he did not take revenge, he would not be a great sage of the demon race. For a time, the humans of the various provinces panicked. As tall as a small mountain, Great Sage Green Python sat halfway up the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, a huge pot was boiling with soup. One could vaguely see bones inside. Not far away, hundreds of mortals were sitting on the ground, trembling. There were demons everywhere. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. Many of them were gnawing on human bodies. The scene was extremely cruel and bloody, It was like purgatory. Great Sage Green Python frowned as he hissed. Strange. Recently, he had felt the power of a curse disrupting him. Even wearing a numinous treasure couldn't completely negate the effect. If not for his extraordinary foundation and the numinous treasure, he might have been seriously injured by the mysterious curse. It seemed like it was time to break through to the tribulation transcendence realm. At this moment, an eagle demon flew over and said, Your Majesty, Yang Tiandong has already fled into the Guyuan state. Do you still want to pursue him? Great Sage Green Python's expression darkened, and it harumphed. Of course. Even if he flees to the ends of the world, I'll still hunt him down. I'll slaughter any sect or city that dares to take him in. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to quell the hatred in my heart. Yes. The eagle demon quickly turned around and left. Thinking of Yang Tiandong made the Great Sage Green Python furious. He was already very tolerant of him, but this fellow actually dared to collude with other demon kings to attack him. Ridiculous. Absurd. Great Sage Green Python had made up his mind to pursue Yang Tiandong to the end. Along the way, he would slaughter as he pleased and feed on the humans. If any major sects in the cultivation world asked, he would use Yang Tiandong as an excuse. Great Sage Green Python was indeed furious, but he did not lose his mind. His true goal was to expand his influence. I'll find a place to transcend the tribulation first. Once I reach the tribulation transcendence realm, that traitor can forget about living. Great Sage Green Python secretly decided. Inside the Khanate cave abode, bleeding from his 7 orifices, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune. He thought to himself, I wonder how the Great Sage Green Python is now. Somehow, he felt that it was not going well, because Yang Tiandong was still being beaten and hunted. If Great Sage Green Python were to find him, he would definitely die. For more, visit Light Novel World. However, all that happened were demon attacks. What did that mean? This meant that Great Sage Green Python was likely in seclusion, attempting to break through to the tribulation transcendence realm. Hanju immediately felt a strong sense of danger. After all, he had yet to fight a tribulation transcendence cultivator. When Yang Tiandong had nowhere else to go, he would definitely return to the Jade Pure sect. If Great Sage Green Python came along, he would have to face it. Hanju took a deep breath and didn't continue cursing the vermilion bird and Mo Yiling. Instead, he began to meditate and cultivate. A year later, Mo Fuzhou, Zhou Fan, and Xian Shishir left the Jade Pure sect. They left very suddenly. Li Qingzi didn't even have the chance to stop them. Another 6 years passed. Hanju finally broke through to the 7th level of the body integration realm. The heaven and earth grass was also growing healthily, with the help of the Fusang tree and the earth immortal gourd vine. The spirit chi of the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain was constantly increasing. The cultivation of the black hell chicken, Sun Chang'an, and fairy Shixian also kept increasing, but not as fast as Hanju's. Hanju checked his emails. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by demons X14021. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by demons X12842. Your good friend Taoist 9 Cauldrons was attacked by righteous cultivators, X199. Your good friend Chang Yuer was attacked by righteous cultivators, X12. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by demons, X1073. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a fellow disciple X2174. Your disciple Su Qi was severely injured. His life was hanging by a thread. Fortunately, the Devil Master saved him. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. The demon taming sect was slaughtered by the Devil Master, and the entire sect perished. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X2681. Visit Light Novel World. For the best novel reading experience. Hanju read his emails and thought, how tragic. The demon taming sect was gone. The demon taming sect was gone. Hanju sighed when he saw this news. Like Yang Tiandong, Su Qi also acknowledged a new foster father. The Devil Master had actually helped him slaughter the demon taming sect. Perhaps the Devil Master was bloodthirsty, to begin with, but used Su Qi as an excuse. Hanju also noticed that Chang'Yuer and Taoist 9 cauldrons were also attacked. It seemed that the overseas was not peaceful recently. Fortunately, I didn't go out. No matter how high my cultivation level is, I'll be easily beaten. Hanju thought silently. Then, he took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Sage Green Python, Vermilion Bird, and Mo Yiling. He spent 7 days on each person, not showing any bias. North State. In the past, the demon-taming sect had been massacred by a mysterious fiendish cultivator. The entire sect had been annihilated. This matter shook the entire North State, causing many cultivators to panic. The demon-taming sect had been reduced to ruins. At this moment, a person was walking among the ruins. It was Su Qi. After the Devil Master had left, Su Qi had been cultivating in seclusion. After breaking through to the nascent soul realm, he had escaped the valley and returned to the demon-taming sect. However, after that, the disciples who had disliked him in the past began to target him again. Unable to tolerate it any longer, Su Qi killed them. The sect elders were furious and imprisoned him in the demon-taming sect's dungeons, torturing him daily. Several months ago, the dungeon shook violently. The disciples guarding the dungeon left one after another and never returned. During this time, Su Qi had been recuperating and conserving his strength. Today, he had broken through the restriction placed on him by the demon-taming sect and escaped. The moment he came out, Su Qi was shocked by the scene before him. Several months had passed, and no one had cleaned up the remains of the demon-taming sect. All of the corpses were rotting. A stench and the smell of blood filled the air, making Su Qi want to vomit. What happened? They're all dead. Startled, Su Qi looked around in confusion. He suddenly thought of a possibility. Did Master attack? But why didn't Master save me from the dungeon? This content is taken from Light Novel World. Come wait. With the destruction of the demon-taming sect, wouldn't I be able to return? The return trip would also be a test. No wonder Master did not appear. After Su Qi thought it through, he was instantly enlightened. He continued to wander through the ruins of the sect, hoping to find any survivors. If there was, he would definitely end their lives. He truly hated the demon-taming sect. Ever since he had joined it, he had been targeted by all sorts of people even before causing any trouble. He had suffered a lot, but now he was finally free. As he thought of this, the pungent stench made Su Qi feel as if he was on cloud 9. 5 minutes later, he met an old man. He was stooped and his robes were dirty. His face was also stained with blood. He knelt in front of the demon-taming sect's gate, his eyes lifeless. Upon seeing him, Su Qi immediately perked up. Someone from the demon-taming sect? Great. Su Qi placed his right hand on the back of his waist, and demonic qi appeared in his palm. It was a horrifying sight. He walked toward the old man. The old man looked up at him, his dry lips slowly opening. You are a disciple of the demon-taming sect? Su Qi asked. You are? The old man sighed. I was once a disciple of the demon-taming sect. I was expelled by Master and finally managed to transcend the tribulation. I wanted to come back to take a look before my ascension. I didn't expect the entire sect to be destroyed. I searched for days and nights, but still couldn't find Master's corpse. Tribulation Transcendence Realm. Su Qi was so frightened that he quickly dispersed the demonic qi in his palm. He nearly died. After Hanju learned that the entire demon-taming sect had been annihilated, Xing Hongxian returned less than 2 months later. The moment she returned, she went to find Hanju. This time, she didn't have any treasure to give him. It's chaotic outside. A demon named Great Sage Green Python has appeared out of nowhere and slaughtered humans. He's extremely cruel, and seems to be hunting down his adopted son who betrayed him. Husband, will Great Sage Green Python come to our Great Yen? It's said that the head of the formless sect, enlightened old monster, died in the python's hands. The formless sect surrounded him, but returned empty-handed. There were also many casualties. Xing Hongxian frowned as she spoke. Hanju raised his eyebrows. Great Sage Green Python again. Even the formless sect could do nothing about him. That was indeed savage. Hanju said calmly. See, if they attack the Jade Pure sect, I won't be able to defeat him. I will bring you away. Xing Hongxian was delighted. Was she already in his heart? By the way, on the way here I discovered a cave abode nearby. Whose is it? Xing Hongxian pretended to ask casually. Not changing his expression, Han Ju said, "It's Fairy Shi Xian's. I invited her over, so that she can cultivate more easily." Does husband care about her? Yes. After all, she was my master. Just a master-disciple relationship? Why are you asking so many questions? You want to teach me how to do things? I wouldn't dare. As long as you're happy, my husband. Xing Hongxian felt wronged, but she was also afraid that she would upset him. Han Ju said solemnly, "It's normal for a man to have multiple wives in this world. Look at the elders. Who doesn't have several Dao companions? I will have other Dao companions in the future, but if I have to decide who to marry first, I will choose you." Xing Hongxian was pleasantly surprised when she heard that. She hugged his arm and cheered. "I knew that you wouldn't forget me." Han Ju smiled and didn't reply. The cultivation world was good. In the modern world, this situation would end up in a slaughterhouse. Then Xing Hongxian started to misbehave. "Husband, I've thought about it. What are you thinking about? Aren't you going to cultivate? Visit Light Novel World. Come for a better experience. This is also a form of cultivation. Come. This time you have to be more invested. Be rougher with me." Wishful thinking. Sit down first. A month later, Xing Hongxian left. Han Ju continued cultivating. After Xing Hongshuan's reminder, he was even more fearful of Great Sage Green Python. "No, I have to break through to the 8th level of the body integration realm as soon as possible." At the same time, Great Sage Green Pythons might had already spread to the Great Yin. The various sects were all fearful. Previously, the formless sect was already an invincible behemoth in their eyes. They didn't expect that a great demon could defeat the formless sect alone. How could they not panic? Almost all the sects sent people to the Jade Pure sect to contact Li Qingzi, hoping to obtain their protection. If Great Sage Green Python really attacked, only the Jade Pure sect would be able to resist. When Li Qingzi received the news, he immediately sent core disciples to leave the Great Yin and head to other prefectures to inquire about Great Sage Green Python. 3 years passed. Han Ju discovered something ridiculous. Heaven and Earth grass seemed to be a girl. As its intelligence continued to increase, Han Ju suddenly heard its voice when he was cultivating. It was very weak, like a young girl. That was strange. Han Ju asked, "Why can you speak?" He had never taught Heaven and Earth grass any language. "My memory is recovering. I seem to have lived before." Heaven and Earth grass cautiously replied, "Memory?" Han Ju immediately became vigilant. Could this fellow be an immortal? He used his divine sense to sense its aura. It was not strong, and he could still easily crush it with one foot. "Are you my master?" Heaven and Earth grass asked. "No, I'm your father." Updated from Light Novel World. Com. "Father? No, you're my master." Heaven and Earth grass was taken aback. "Father? No, you're my master." Heaven and Earth grass was taken aback. It fell into deep thought. "In my memory there was once a master. She left and I was eaten by demons. Before I died, I disintegrated and returned to the world. You're my second master. Will you abandon me too?" When Han Ju heard that, he immediately guessed that the first owner of Heaven and Earth grass was that immortal god. Why would an immortal god care about ordinary grass? Han Ju smiled and said, "No. From now on, I will bring you wherever I go." He could make a potted plant for the grass. "Master is so good to me," Heaven and Earth grass said gratefully. Heaven and Earth grass has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hearing its voice, Han Ju felt that the name Cho Chao didn't suit it anymore. Never mind. When it grows up, let it name itself. Han Ju chatted with Heaven and Earth grass for a while before continuing to cultivate. At the peak of the mountain, Zhou Fan, Mo Fuzhou, and Xian Shishir stood at the edge of the cliff. Following their gaze, countless demons were crawling on the plains ahead. The largest was like a mountain. The scene was stunning. Zhou Fan frowned and asked, "Why are Great Sage Green Python's demon soldiers growing so quickly?" Mo Fuzhou felt his scalp go numb. After leaving the Great Yin, they would encounter Great Sage Green Python's demon soldiers, no matter where they went. It was as if all the demons in the world had already submitted to him. Previously, the demons were suppressed by the humans. Now, even the demon kings don't dare to invade the humans. Don't think that only demons eat humans. In fact, the cultivators have killed even more demons. The appearance of Great Sage Green Python has given the demons hope. Naturally, they will seek refuge under him, Xian Shirshir said calmly. She continued, one can ascend after reaching the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Therefore, there are very few Tribulation Transcendence realm experts in the world. As for Mahayana cultivators, there are even fewer. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Kam Zhou-fan asked curiously, if one can ascend after transcending the tribulation, why are there still Mahayana cultivators around? Emofujo also found it strange. It's already very difficult for most cultivators and demons to reach the void amalgamation realm. To reach the body integration realm, they have to rely on luck. To reach the tribulation transcendence realm, they need fortuitous encounters. It's almost impossible for them to advance after that. Therefore, most tribulation transcendence realm experts would choose to ascend directly. However, there are always some lucky people and elites in the world. Even if they reach the tribulation transcendence realm, they can still continue cultivating in the mortal world. I have a senior sister who is the current demon lord. She's already a Mahayana realm cultivator and is still improving. She has chosen not to ascend yet, Xian Shirshir explained. She was very envious of her senior sister. Currently, it was very difficult for her cultivation level to improve. The Tribulation Transcendence realm looked like it was only a step away, but in fact, it was far beyond her reach. She sighed and said, if Great Sage Green Python were to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm, he would be considered the #1 demon king among the demons. As expected of the Great Sage, this fellow is full of ambition. The humans of the nearby 10 provinces and 9 dynasties will face a great calamity. Zhou Fan frowned. Then let's go overseas? He didn't want to face Great Sage Green Python again. Back then, his domination physique couldn't withstand a lash from its tail. Yes, it's a good place to go. I don't think Great Sage Green Python would dare to cause trouble overseas. Xian Shirshir nodded. Emofujo asked worriedly, will something happen to the Jade Pure sect? Zhou Fan helplessly said, regarding the matter of Great Sage Green Python, we have already told the sect master. We have already done our best. He also had feelings for the Jade Pure sect, but no amount of feelings could compare to his own life. The three of them continued to watch for a while before quickly leaving. Great Sage Green Python's demonic forces were like a huge hand covering the sky. The cultivators of the various prefectures were all fearful. 7 years later, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Sage Green Python. It was still the same 7-day ritual. After cursing, Hanju looked at heaven and earth grass. The grass did not seem to have grown much taller, but it had already begun to produce spirit chi. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Kam Hanju was hesitating if he should teach it a cultivation technique. I should. Since it has the potential to be an immortal, it might become a powerful force in the future. Hanju pretended to touch heaven and earth grass, but in fact, he placed the 6 paths insignia into it. What if the grass betrayed him in the future? Besides, the immortal god that heaven and earth grass had encountered previously might have left behind some method. There were many cultivation techniques in Hanju's storage ring, including the Jade Pure sect's Jade Pure technique. In the end, he chose to impart the Pure Jade technique to it. Heaven and earth grass had already awakened its memories. It could speak in the human tongue, and was considered a spirit. It wasn't difficult to learn the Pure Jade technique. This was the ultimate technique of the Jade Pure sect. After Taoist 9 cauldrons completed it, it could already be cultivated to the void amalgamation realm. Heaven and earth grass was very happy. The grass swayed, and was extremely cheerful. After Hanju finished teaching, he checked his emails through his interpersonal relationships. The chaotic heavenly dog, Yang Tiandong, Zhou Fan, and Mofujo, and the others were still being attacked by the demons. Even Taoist Calm Sky, Huang Jihao, Huang Zuentian, and Shangguan Qiujian were being attacked. Even though he only read the emails, Hanju could still feel the power of the demons. They were attacking the humans in the nearby states. Great Sage Green Python's prestige was greater than Hanju imagined. I wonder if that fellow has broken through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Hanju thought silently, and then took out the Book of Misfortune. He started to curse with all his might. Above a vast lake, dark clouds and thunder could be seen. It was deafening, as if the end of the world had arrived. A green-scaled python a few thousand feet long crazily twisted within the endless lightning storm. It stirred up gusts of wind and waves that surged into the sky. Countless bolts of lightning struck the python, but did not cause any damage. Not even a single scale fell. This was Great Sage Green Python. Updated from Light Novel World. He was undergoing tribulation. The white lightning suddenly turned purple. Great Sage Green Python's pupils constricted as he cursed. Upgraded Heavenly Tribulation. Damn that curse power. This tribulation had already lasted for nearly a month. A few days ago, that strange and mysterious curse power attacked again, becoming more and more intense. Now it actually caused his heavenly tribulation to become stronger, making him extremely angry. Damn rat. Who is it? Great Sage Green Python hated that person to the core. He had actually cursed him behind his back. How wretched. Despite his anger, Great Sage Green Python continued his tribulation. A golden wooden staff flew out and hovered above Great Sage Green Python's head. It absorbed a myriad of lightning bolts and helped the python transcend the tribulation. Great Sage Green Python let out a long sigh and muttered, I still had to use this treasure after all. Taking advantage of the golden staff enduring the heavenly tribulation, Great Sage Green Python transformed into his human form and began deducing the power of the curse. However, no matter how the python calculated, he couldn't find the other party. Great Sage Green Python was even more furious. He swore that if he discovered the other party, he would tear him to shreds. Time passed. A month went by. Great Sage Green Python had successfully transcended his tribulation and officially stepped into the Tribulation Transcendence realm. A terrifying demonic aura filled the world, shaking the mountains, the land, and the vast lakes. From now on, I'm a true demon saint. Great Sage Green Python laughed impudently. A demonic aura surrounded him, as if dozens of black dragons were coiling around him. It was extremely domineering. His snake eyes were cold as he looked into the distance and muttered, Unfilial son, this saint will definitely kill you. This saint will let you taste the most painful torture in this world. This saint will make sure you never reincarnate again. The source of this content is Light Novel World. He was naturally referring to his adopted son, Yang Tiandong. 6 years later, Hanju finally broke through to the 8th level of the body integration realm. He opened his eyes and exhaled. The Tribulation Transcendence realm still required several decades, but it was close now. After the Tribulation Transcendence realm was the Mahayana realm. Hanju didn't know if the Grand Unity realm was above that. He had always treated the vermilion bird as his imaginary enemy, so he felt that the body integration realm wasn't strong enough. There was still a long way to go. Hanju habitually checked his emails. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by demons, X8499. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by demons, X14923. Your grand disciple Morongqi was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X233. Your good friend Taoist Calm Sky was attacked by a demon king, and was severely injured. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a righteous cultivator, X74. Your good friend Taoist Nine Cauldrons was attacked by a righteous cultivator, and was severely injured. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun gained enlightenment in the Tao discussion, and her cultivation improved greatly. So many demons. So many demon kings. Hanju frowned. How chaotic was the outside world. He walked out of the cave abode, and came to the Fusang tree to stretch his muscles. Sun Chang'an stood up and bowed. The black hell chicken was still sleeping on the Fusang tree. Hanju sized up the tree. It was very healthy, and the earth immortal gourd vine on the tree was also not bad. It would take a long time for it to give birth to a gourd child. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Master, Morongqi hasn't been back for some time. I want to go find him. Is that okay? Sun Chang'an asked softly. Hanju said calmly, don't go. Be careful not to be eaten by the demons. He's fine. He has extraordinary luck and will be able to survive. As his cultivation level increased, Sun Chang'an's physical body also began to emit spirit qi like a heavenly treasure. Previously, Sun Chang'an had been frightened, but as time passed, he finally got used to it. It was all thanks to the heartless flying sword that this guy did not go to seduce Qianer. Recently, the cultivation world has not been very peaceful. I heard the discussions among the disciples. They're all talking about Great Sage Green Python. This demon might very well become a calamity to this world. Although he has not affected the Great Yin yet, it might happen in the future. I'm worried that something will happen to my Qi. Sun Chang'an frowned. Your Qi? Hanju got goosebumps after hearing that. Their master-disciple relationship was really deep. Hanju said, you're very attractive to demons. Be careful that you are caught before you can find Morongqi. When the time comes, you'll need your disciple to save you. Anyway, it's impossible for me to save you. How many times have I told you all not to run around and cultivate in peace? You guys just don't listen. Sun Chang'an felt that it made sense and could only give up. The black hell chicken had awoken at some point. It asked, Master, the chaotic heavenly dog has yet to return. Did it die outside? Hanju replied, not dead, but sometimes being alive is worse than death. He gets beaten up every day. Master can predict that? Of course. Thankfully, I didn't go out. Master really didn't lie to me. If that great sage green python were to attack, we could just run away. The black hell chicken sighed. It was unknown if it was afraid or worried about the chaotic heavenly dog. It had been waiting for the chaotic heavenly dog to return. If it died outside, it would definitely be sad. After all, it had hatched the egg. Hanju said, we'll see. If we can't win, we can only run. He was already at the 8th level of the body integration realm. Even if Great Sage Green Python successfully broke through, he shouldn't be able to defeat him, right? The difference between the Tribulation Transcendence realm and the 9th level of the body integration realm was not so great. After chatting for an hour, Hanju returned to the cave abode and continued cultivating. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. A month later, Li Qingzi came to visit. Hanju raised his eyebrows and said, could it be that Great Sage Green Python is already here? Li Qingzi was definitely not carrying good news. The Guyuan state is about to fall. Great Sage Green Python has tens of millions of demonic soldiers. There are countless demon kings under him. Even the West Abyss state and the Great Way are being attacked by the demon army. I'm afraid it won't be long before it's our Jade Pure Sect's turn, Li Qingzi said worriedly. Elder Han, it's said that Great Sage Green Python has already broken through to the legendary Tribulation Transcendence realm. It has more than 100 body integration and void amalgamation realm demon kings under him. Li Qingzi was too embarrassed to continue. He wasn't confident that Hanju could face so many demon kings alone. Hanju was shocked. So many? Why isn't the cultivation world working together? According to my previous understanding, there are no Tribulation Transcendence realm cultivators in the 10 provinces and 9 dynasties near the Great Yin. The strongest is only at the body integration realm. 2 years ago, a mysterious Tribulation Transcendence realm cultivator appeared at the border of the Guyuan state. He wanted to stop Great Sage Green Python, but was nearly beaten to death by him. Now all the provinces are fearful, and many sects were forced to move. Do you think we should move? Li Qingzi asked carefully. If even Hanju was not confident, it was better to run as soon as possible. Facing the menacing Great Sage Green Python, Sect Master Li Qingzi is fearful and wants to relocate the sect. You have the following choices. 1. Agree and escape with the Jade Pure Sect. You can obtain a numinous treasure. 2. Reject and stay behind to wait for Great Sage Green Python. You can obtain a Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. 3 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. He frowned. Move where? Overseas, we'll seek refuge with the ancestor. He's getting beaten up constantly, and you still want to join him? Oh, how did Elder Han know? I can deduce it. Besides, can we avoid Great Sage Green Python's army along the way? No. The states and dynasties around the Great Yin are under attack by demons. Wherever we go, we will encounter demons. Tell all the disciples to come back. Hanju shook his head. Since he would encounter demons if he fled, he might as well stay and fight. If all the disciples gathered in the sect, Hanju wouldn't have to go around saving people. He just had to wait here. At that time, he would be the first to kill the attacking Great Sage Green Python. The remaining demon kings would naturally be scared out of their wits. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm Hanju thought about whether he should go out to find Great Sage Green Python. But on second thought, where could he go to find it? He would regret it if his home was destroyed while he was out. Hanju didn't care if the other sects in the cultivation world were destroyed. The only one he could not bear to part with was the Jade Pure sect. So what if the world outside was devastated if the Jade Pure sect was intact? Hanju didn't want to be a savior. That would only give rise to endless trouble in the future. Moreover, it was impossible for Great Sage Green Python to slaughter the entire human race. Hanju had encountered more than one Mahayana realm cultivator already. You rejected the sect master and chose to stay. You obtained a Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone contains the power of the Heavenly Tao. If fused with a Dharma treasure, it will be elevated by a grade. Not bad. Hanju was attracted by the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. Li Qingzi nodded. I'll give the order now. With that he stood up and left. After he left the cave abode, Hanju took out the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. This Spirit Stone was purple in color and looked like a brick. Hanju's divine sense entered it and was immediately repelled by a powerful force. Power of the Heavenly Tao. Hanju fell into deep thought. Which treasure should he fuse it with? He had to choose the highest grade Dharma treasure. Otherwise it would be a loss. Primordial Judgment Sword? Or the Book of Misfortune? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Com. After hesitating for a long time, Hanju decided to infuse the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone into the Primordial Judgment Sword. After hesitating for a long time, Hanju decided to infuse the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone into the Primordial Judgment Sword. Great Sage Green Python could attack at any moment. He had to increase his attack power and kill him instantly. If not for Great Sage Green Python, Hanju might have kept the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. However, being cautious, he decided to use it immediately. Despite his curses, Great Sage Green Python had still successfully broken through. Furthermore, he had been stirring up trouble everywhere, as if nothing had happened. This meant that Great Sage Green Python was very powerful. Hanju didn't dare to be careless. He immediately took out the Primordial Judgment Sword and placed the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone on the blade. 6 paths spirit energy poured into the two, attempting to fuse them together. The Primordial Judgment Sword was his birth Dharma treasure. He had tried before, but it couldn't unleash a power that far exceeded his cultivation realm. This was different from what he had imagined. He had thought that it was just like Eastern Emperor Tai Yi in the legends of the primordial world wielding the chaotic bell and slaughtering all in his path. But on second thought, Eastern Emperor Tai Yi's cultivation level was already top-notch in the world when he was born. That made sense. If mortals' Dharma treasures could unleash the power of an immortal, wouldn't they be drained dry? Primordial Judgment Sword cannot be upgraded by the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. Please select another Dharma treasure. Hanju frowned. This was ridiculous. It seemed that the novels were right. Primordial Chaos was superior to the Heavenly Tao. Hanju thought for a moment. Why not keep it first? He felt that it was a waste to use it on the Book of Misfortune. Could it curse Great Sage Green Python to death just by raising its grade? After breaking through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm, there might be even stronger Dharma treasures. If he wanted to kill the Great Sage Green Python, he had to think of another way. Another epiphany of the Sword Tao? It was unknown if that person was still waiting in the Sword Tao River. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Sage Green Python. He would try to delay the battle as much as possible. Several days later, the source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm, he put down the book of misfortune and wiped the blood off his 7 orifices, smiling in satisfaction. After spending a few more days healing his injuries, Hanju began to comprehend the sword Tao. He had comprehended the 3 pure world cleansing last time. He wanted to see if he could make it even stronger this time. At the border of the Great Yen, Yang Tiandong stopped under a huge tree and hurriedly sat down. He circulated his energy to heal his injuries. He was covered in blood and looked extremely miserable. Ever since he cooperated with the chaotic heavenly dog, but failed to kill Great Sage Green Python, he was constantly on the run. All these years, he had been hiding everywhere. It was a fate worse than death. Vile traitor, keep running. No matter where you run, I will catch you. At that time, I will pull out your tendons and skin you so that you can experience despair. Great Sage Green Python's sinister and murderous laughter rang in his ears. Yang Tiandong wasn't startled. This was not the first time he had heard this. Clearly, Great Sage Green Python had used some sort of secret technique. It could only send voice transmissions and could not directly attack him. Otherwise, Yang Tiandong would have long been captured. Damn it! Yang Tiandong gritted his teeth. He was truly afraid now. After all these years on the run, he was severely injured. No matter where he fled, it was useless. He had also implicated many cultivation sects and demon kings. He finally returned to the Great Yen. He was very hesitant, unsure if he should return to the Jade Pure sect. Great Sage Green Python was too powerful. So powerful that he felt that no one could defeat him. But if he didn't return to the Jade Pure sect, he would really have nowhere to go. Should I find Demon King Diansu first? However, Great Sage Green Python had many powerful demon kings comparable to Diansu. Even Diansu was no match for them. Yang Tiandong felt conflicted as he healed. An hour later he moved again. Not long after he left, dozens of birds flew over and continued chasing after him. A phenomenon suddenly appeared in the sky. Purple light covered the sky, and even the ground turned purple. When everyone was shocked, Hanju's consciousness had already entered the Sword Dao River. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm at this moment, he was silently facing a figure. You again? The figure said angrily. Hanju was even more speechless. Was there something wrong with this fellow? Why was he here all the time? He suppressed his anger and said with a smile, Senior, I've encountered a mortal enemy. Can you let me take another step? Just one step. The figure retorted unhappily. You've already comprehended the grand unity mystical power and sword intent. Who can't you defeat in the mortal world? It's impossible to lose unless there's a huge gap between your cultivation realm and his. Hanju sighed and said, I wanted to visit you after I ascended. Thank you for your reminder. I might die on the path of cultivation now. What a pity. The figure was silent. After a while the figure slowly said, Then walk forward. With that he moved aside, and Hanju's consciousness followed. Moving forward, Hanju suddenly felt a terrifying pressure. It was as if he was carrying a huge mountain on his back, and he almost couldn't breathe. It seemed that this senior was not lying to him. Mortals could not comprehend powers beyond grand unity. Hanju gritted his teeth and persisted. 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Hanju started to feel dizzy. He hurriedly shouted, Senior, save me. As he said that, a hand reached out from behind, grabbed his shoulder, and pulled him back. Immediately after, he felt the world spin as his consciousness fell out of the river. Junior, if this happens again, I won't save you. The figure snorted coldly. Hanju's consciousness returned to his body, and he quickly circulated his energy to stabilize his essence soul. A line of words appeared in front of him. Your Sword Dao mystical power, 3 pure world cleansing has been enhanced. After a while, Hanju's mental state recovered. He immediately started the simulation trial and fought with Xian Shirshir. He had previously simulated a trial with Xian Shirshir, and the system had kept a copy of her data. A breath later, Hanju opened his eyes. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience, he exhaled. Although it was also an instant kill, he could sense that 3 pure world cleansing had become stronger. With just 3 more steps, 3 pure world cleansing could produce 1,000,000 sword shadows now. They were all famous swords from the long river of the sword Tao. The million sword shadows focused on Xian Shirshir and destroyed her along with her soul. However, this move consumed a lot of spirit energy and could not be used easily. Hanju smiled in satisfaction. He had more confidence in killing Great Sage Green Python instantly. Heaven and earth grass shivered. After seeing him smile, it couldn't help but say, "Master, your aura earlier was so terrifying. It reminded me of my previous master." Hanju raised his eyebrows. Did that mean that he was already comparable to an immortal god? He was only praising himself a little. How could he compare to the immortal god? Heaven and earth grass was too weak now. It couldn't determine how powerful its previous master was. What previous master? You only have me now. Hanju snorted. Ah yes. Hanju ignored heaven and earth grass and left. The phenomenon in the sky began to fade. Sun Chang'an saw Hanju come out inside. Master, it's not the first time such a natural phenomenon appeared. I wonder what kind of monstrous talent has appeared this time. He couldn't sense anything happening in the Khanate cave abode, so he didn't think about Hanju. Hanju smiled and cursed in his heart. You're the monster. He did not reply. Instead, he looked into the distance. Following his gaze, dozens of kilometers away, he saw a peculiar man meditating and recuperating. It was Yang Tiandong. As Yang Tiandong circulated his energy, he looked up at the sky and muttered, "Another genius has appeared. Sigh, how good would it be if he could help me kill Great Sage Green Python?" As soon as he finished speaking, a familiar voice sounded. "You're already at the doorstep, and you're still not coming back." Yang Tiandong arrived at the foot of the immortal mountain. He knelt down in front of the stone tablet and started to kowtow. Yang Tiandong arrived at the foot of the immortal mountain. He knelt down in front of the stone tablet and started to kowtow. "Master, I was wrong. Master, I was wrong. Master, I was wrong." He repeated it over and over, his forehead touching the dirt. On the mountain, the black-helled chicken jumped down from the fusang tree and asked excitedly, "The half-demon is back?" Half-demon? Sun Chang'an was immediately interested. Could it be the legendary eldest senior brother? Hanju turned around and walked back to the Khanate cave abode. The black-helled chicken and Sun Chang'an went down the mountain. After returning to the cave abode, Hanju immediately began inspecting the demons in the Jade Pure sect. He didn't discover the Great Sage Green Python, but he detected its demonic soldiers. There were a few demonic birds. He didn't capture them. Instead, he let them spread the news and waited for Great Sage Green Python to arrive. In the following period of time, the disciples returned to the sect one after another. Morongqi also returned. He came to the fusang tree and began to cultivate with Sun Chang'an, not going out anymore. Yang Tiandong was very surprised by Sun Chang'an and Morongqi's cultivation. Master's grand disciple is about to break through to the nascent soul realm? Also, there was that black hell chicken. It was already at the void amalgamation realm. Yang Tiandong couldn't help but mourn for the chaotic heavenly dog. The dog had just broken through to the soul formation realm a few years ago, and still wanted to teach the black hell chicken a lesson. It seemed like there was no chance. Hanju listened to their conversation in the cave abode, and was speechless when he learned that the chaotic heavenly dog was only at the soul formation realm. How dare you guys? A nascent soul cultivator and a soul formation cultivator dared to plot against Great Sage Green Python? No wonder the python was so angry. It was a great insult that such ants were trying to turn on it. Fortunately, they had encountered Huang Zuantian and the others. Otherwise, they would have died long ago. Several months later, Li Qingzi came to visit. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm when he saw Yang Tiandong still kowtowing at the foot of the mountain, his expression turned strange. After entering the cave abode, he quickly stopped in front of Hanju and said anxiously, "Elder Han, things are not good. Great Sage Green Python has already led the demon army into the Great Yen. According to the findings of our demon pets, their target is likely us. It turns out that the half-demon that Great Sage Green Python is chasing is your disciple." He was the one who had recommended Yang Tiandong to Hanju. Yang Tiandong had even helped the Jade Pure sect build a good relationship with Demon King Diansu. He had done a great deed, so he couldn't let Hanju expel him from the sect. So be it, let them come. Are the disciples back? Where's the secret hall? Hanju asked indifferently. He was still a little nervous. If he couldn't kill the great sage green python in an instant, would the latter escape? That would result in endless trouble. They're all back. The secret hall has been sealed. I've already sent people to destroy the other teleportation entrances. From now on, we can only enter from the sect, Li Qingzi replied. Hanju nodded. Li Qingzi was very efficient. Li Qingzi asked cautiously, what's next? This time it was different from the past. Great Sage Green Python had already taken down the cultivation world of several states. He was truly fuming. This was a demon disaster that was hard to come by in 10,000 years. Could Hanju alone stop it? Yes, Hanju replied. When Li Qingzi saw this, he could only suppress the panic and uneasiness in his heart and leave. After he left, Hanju took a deep breath. The heaven and earth grass was already in a white jade bottle, ready to escape at any time. Although Hanju was confident, he habitually thought of the worst possibility. If he couldn't win, he could only run. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse the great sage green python. This time, he didn't curse with all his might, in case he needed to fight at any time. He just had to mess with the other party's mind. Northern Great Yin, in a world of ice and snow, countless demons gathered in the snow. A burly and domineering figure stood on the snow, holding a golden wooden staff. This was Great Sage Green Python. Wearing snake scale heavy armor, Great Sage Green Python looked down at Demon King Diansu. He smiled sinisterly. Do you submit? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm in human form, Demon King Diansu was in an extremely sorry state. He was covered in blood, and his head was stepped on by Great Sage Green Python. He couldn't move. He wasn't the only one. His subordinates were also subdued by the other demons. They were trampled on the snow and looked at him in horror and despair. The demons all knew that if Demon King Diansu did not surrender, they would be killed along with him. He's too powerful. Recalling the scene earlier, the demons couldn't help but tremble. In their hearts, Demon King Diansu was an invincible existence. However, he couldn't even fight back against Great Sage Green Python. Damn it! Demon King Diansu gritted his teeth, feeling extremely sullen. At this moment, Great Sage Green Python suddenly frowned, his temper rising. Damn it, I'm getting cursed again. Great Sage Green Python shouted in anger. Curse! When Demon King Diansu heard this, he couldn't help but recall his own experience. Looks like this fellow has been targeted by an immortal. Fine then. He had to lower his head first. After all, this guy would not live for long. Demon King Diansu said grimly, I'm willing to submit. Great Sage Green Python snorted and shifted his right foot away. At the same time, he gestured for his subordinates to release the subordinates. Do you know Yang Tiandong? Great Sage Green Python asked. With a wave of his right hand, snow gathered and formed a mirror. Yang Tiandong's face was reflected in it. The Diansu Demon King had just gotten up. He stared and couldn't help but ask in surprise. Isn't this my adopted son? Did he offend you? Adopted son? Great Sage Green Python's eyes turned cold. Boom! The Great Sage Green Python's staff slammed into Demon King Diansu's head. Blood splattered all over the ground, scaring all the demons. Diansu's essence soul floated out of his body and cried out in fear. Great Sage Green Python, what are you doing? I'm willing to submit. I didn't order Yang Tiandong to offend you. Great Sage Green Python harumphed. He also acknowledged me as his foster father, and even organized a rebellion against me. Diansu was stunned. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Com Rebellion? Gasp! I'll not destroy your essence soul, but you'll have nothing to do with Yang Tiandong from now on. Once I capture him, if you speak up for him, I'll make sure that you can't be reborn. Great Sage Green Python spoke with a sinister expression. The fury in his heart burned once again. Bastard! He even acknowledged another demon king as his foster father. Great Sage Green Python felt humiliated. This was simply unbearable. At the foot of Cultivate Diligently Become a Mortal Mountain, before the stone tablet, young Tiandong was still kowtowing. Boom! The sound of thunder jolted him awake. He looked up and saw rolling dark clouds. These dark clouds were caused by a demonic aura. Thinking of something, his expression turned fearful. He then looked at the horizon. The demonic aura at the end of the world engulfed the mountains and rivers. It was as if an abyss had struck. It was horrifying. Great Sage Green Python had arrived. Young Tiandong was not the only one frightened. Everyone from the Jade Pure sect was so frightened that they walked out of their cave abodes and pavilions. Elders, bring the disciples of the various peaks to their respective sect protection arrays. Activate the array formation immediately. Guan Yogong's voice resounded throughout the sect. Everyone could hear the seriousness in his voice. The disciples flew in all directions. Their discussions were endless. Great Sage Green Python is here? Oh no. Can we get through it? I heard that the other states have fallen. Damn it. Why didn't the sect master bring us along to escape? We're completely trapped. Escape? Where do you want to go? The dynasties and states around the Great Yen have already been ravaged by demons. It's useless no matter how you try to escape. We might as well gather together and at least try to resist. The news of the Great Sage Green Python had already spread a few years ago. The disciples were extremely afraid, but thankfully, there were many people, so they did not panic. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience, unfilial son. I thought you'd run away, but you've come to such a small sect. Today I'll eat all of them. Let's see where you can run. A cold laugh echoed through the area as young Tiandong's face turned deathly pale. Upon hearing Great Sage Green Python's words, everyone in the Jade Pure sect, from the sect master to the outer sect disciples, were all shocked. Upon hearing Great Sage Green Python's words, everyone in the Jade Pure sect, from the sect master to the outer sect disciples, were all shocked. The demon wanted to eat all of them. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju also heard what Great Sage Green Python said. He raised an eyebrow. So arrogant. He did not seem to be affected by the Book of Misfortune. Is he so strong? Hanju immediately used the simulation trial to search for the demon. However, there was no Great Sage Green Python within 100 miles. He had yet to arrive, and was already posturing. Helpless, Hanju immediately shifted young Tiandong into the Cultivate Diligently Become a Mortal Mountain to prevent him from being captured by the demon and used as a hostage. Of course, if that was the case, Hanju would not be merciful. In any case, he had already imprinted the 6 Paths insignia on young Tiandong. It was fine even if he died. They could continue their relationship as master and disciple in the next life. Hanju slowly stood up. The numinous treasures on his body shone faintly. Heaven and earth grass shivered and said, "Master, where are you going? Don't leave me behind." Without looking back, Hanju said, "I'll be back soon." He walked out of the cave abode. The Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong, and Morong Chi waited anxiously under the Fusang tree. Great Sage Green Python's terrifying demonic aura had already enveloped the sect. Not only his demonic aura, but the demonic auras of other demons could also be felt. The demonic aura gathered together and surged like a wave from all directions, threatening to drown the Jade Pure sect. Xiao Yao, Guan Yu Gang, Lu Bumi, Li Qingzi, Fairy Shixian, and the others floated high in the sky. From their point of view, the world was filled with black clouds formed by demonic aura, oppressive and terrifying. Cold sweat broke out on the elders' foreheads. Just how powerful is this Great Sage Green Python? Who is he referring to? I can't take it. Where's deity slaying elder? Elder Xiao, Elder Lu, can you defeat this great demon? How many demons are there in Great Sage Green Python's army? Has the sect protection formation been activated? While the elders were alarmed, the disciples were even more terrified. Xing Hongxian walked out of the cave abode and came to Hanju's side. She asked nervously, "Husband, what are you going to do?" She often heard Hanju say that if he met an enemy he couldn't defeat, he would run away. Xing Hongxian didn't dislike him running away. She was afraid that Hanju would leave her behind and run away alone. Hanju looked into the distance and said softly, "Let's wait a while more." Seeing that he was so calm, Xing Hongxian, the Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, and Murong Qi felt relieved. Yang Tiandong looked at Hanju in disbelief. Is Master so powerful that he doesn't fear the great sage green python? He understood Hanju. If he didn't have absolute confidence, he wouldn't be so calm. Little did they know that Hanju was frantically using the simulation trial to search for the strongest person in the sect. Why isn't he here yet? Hanju felt like he was playing an online game. He kept refreshing to try and spawn the boss. After a while, Great Sage Green Python, first level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm, a newly advanced demon saint. Hanju immediately started the simulation trial. 2 breaths later, he frowned and closed his eyes again. A breath later, he opened his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. Fortunately, he had improved his 3 pure world cleansing, or else he wouldn't have been able to break through the golden wooden staff's defense. Hanju opened his right hand and maintained the posture of holding the sword. The reason why he didn't take out the primordial judgment sword was that he wanted to catch the demon saint off guard. He walked to the edge of the cliff and gazed into the horizon. Great Sage Green Python was flying towards the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. It was not because he had guessed that there would be a formidable opponent on the mountain, but because he was coming for Yang Tiandong. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Yang Tiandong could clearly sense Great Sage Green Python's killing intent. His head was covered in a cold sweat, and his entire body was trembling in fear. Hanju didn't care about him, and continued to look at the sky. In next to no time, the figure of the Great Sage Green Python appeared. The 300-meter-tall figure walked over, while standing on a black cloud of demonic qi, carrying a golden wooden staff on his shoulder. He seemed as if he was from the primeval times, and his entire body emanated an overbearing and terrifying aura. Behind him were countless demons in the churning demon clouds, each more ferocious than the last. They looked at the Jade Pure sect, as if they were looking at a buffet. The scent of a cultivator is so fragrant. Don't snatch my food today. I'm starving. All you know is to eat. Humans are not just edible, especially their women. There are too few people. There's not enough for us to share. Listen to the demon saint's orders. We can't act without orders. Great Sage Green Python had already noticed Yang Tiandong. A sinister smile appeared on his face. Not running this time? The Great Sage Green Python's laughter sounded again, causing everyone in the sect to tense up. Yang Tiandong didn't dare to look at him, and could only turn to look at Hanju. Hanju's expression was calm. He was considering when to attack. He wanted to catch the Great Sage Green Python off guard. Great Sage Green Python noticed Hanju. His cultivation level was too low. He then glanced at the Black Hell Chicken. This chicken's cultivation level was not bad. He could tame it. Immediately after, his gaze landed on the Fusang tree. This tree. As if thinking of something, Great Sage Green Python's eyes widened. How is this possible? Why is this divine tree here? Great Sage Green Python was shocked. Immediately, a strong desire arose in his heart. The source of this content is Light Novel World. He wanted this tree. His spiritual sense had already swept across the Jade Pure sect. The strongest was only at the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation realm. He couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. Great Sage Green Python noticed the Jade Pure sect cultivators and laughed. I'll let you experience my power. He leaped up as a violent pressure descended from the sky. The 18 peaks, the main peak, and the nearby mountains shook. Great Sage Green Python swooped down, aiming for the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. Everyone in the sect was extremely nervous. They all knew who was hiding in the Immortal mountain. If even that person could not stop the demon, they could only wait for death. Li Qingzi's hands were clenched tightly in his sleeves, and beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead. Fairy Shixian frowned, and her body trembled slightly. All the elders were extremely nervous. This was not the first time they had relied on deity-slaying elder. But this time, the situation was different. The nearby states had already fallen. Such a calamity was unprecedented. At least not in the history they knew. Time passed very slowly. It was as if a slow-motion button had been pressed. Everyone stared at Great Sage Green Python, unable to hear anything else. The world fell silent. Under their gazes, countless sword shadows suddenly shot out from the immortal mountain. They were densely packed, like a school of carps crossing the river. They soared into the sky, unstoppable. With a deafening boom, the black sword beam illuminated the world. Great Sage Green Python was drowned by the sword shadows. 3 pure world cleansing. Hanju made his move. Standing at the edge of the cliff, he maintained the posture of brandishing the primordial judgment sword. The sword pointed to the sky. The golden cicada's mystic divine robe fluttered, and the Earth Emperor's soul ward swayed wildly in the wind. The Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, Morong Qi, Yang Tiandong, and Xing Hongxian all widened their eyes and looked at Hanju's back in shock. From behind, Hanju looked like an immortal. He was so majestic and awe-inspiring. I was going to do this, Hanju said softly in response to the previous question. His eyes were calm and his face was expressionless. Xing Hongxian heard the answer she didn't get before. Although Hanju's words were light, they were filled with power and struck her heart hard. These words were etched in her mind. For more, visit lightnovelworld.com. Boom. Boom. The moment 3 pure world cleansing was used, hundreds of thousands of sword shadows soared into the sky and crushed the descending Great Sage Green Python. That's right. A complete slaughter. Even his soul and body were destroyed. He didn't even have the chance to reincarnate. The sword shadows stirred up a violent wind that swept in all directions. It was like an immortal waving his hand, stirring up waves in the mortal world. Hanju held the primordial judgment sword in his right hand. With a twist of the blade, an even more powerful sword aura shot up into the sky. Sword chi formed a sea, blotting out the sky. Everyone and the demons widened their eyes and opened their mouths. Dumbfounded. Disbelief. Sword shadows condensed in the sea of sword chi. These swords were all different in appearance. Some were like gentlemen with a refined temperament. Some were like kings looking down on the world. And some were like saints. The blades were all wide and majestic. In the blink of an eye, the number of sword shadows increased to 1,000,000, and was still growing rapidly. Everyone, and the demons felt their vision blur. They focused and looked again. The sky was filled with sword shadows. They were so dense that they could not be counted. Xiao Yao, Lu Bumi, and the other elders were also shocked. Especially in the case of Xiao Yao. Although he was blind, he could sense everything. His body trembled as he muttered. Such a mystical power. He couldn't help but recall the scene 5,000 years ago, when the spiritual firmament sect was slaughtered by the power of immortals. The demonic aura of Great Sage Green Python. Taoist Jingshu shivered as she muttered. Gone. The demonic aura of the demon saint vanished. Before anyone could react, Great Sage Green Python died? The elders thought that Hanju might win, but they didn't expect him to win so overwhelmingly. The scene in front of them told them that Great Sage Green Python had been killed by Hanju in one strike. How great was the difference in strength? This content is taken from Light Novel World. How powerful was the deity-slaying elder? At the same time, the 1,000,000 sword shadows of the 3 pure world cleansing shot in different directions. The sea of sword chi condensed into sword shadows and continued to shoot. The demons watching from afar finally reacted. Boom! All of them turned to flee in fright. The demon saint is dead. Our demon saint has died. Run! How is that possible? Who is hiding in the Jade Pure sect? How could Great Sage Green Python die so quickly? Ridiculous. How could the speed of the demons be faster than Hanju's sword shadows? Almost instantly, blood burst out from the sky in all directions. It was like fireworks blossoming spectacularly. Today, all cultivators of the Jade Pure sect would never forget this scene. Because on this day, they personally witnessed the power of an immortal. He had single-handedly suppressed countless demon soldiers and demon kings. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. You have killed a tribulation transcendence realm existence for the first time. Obtained a heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. Another heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. Hanju raised his eyebrows as he pulled with his left hand. A golden wooden staff flew towards him. It was the great sage green python's treasure. There was only this treasure left over from the body of the great sage green python. 3 pure world cleansing was actually unable to completely destroy this treasure, which showed how powerful it was. At the moment, the golden wooden staff was cracked and filled with smoke. Hanju subconsciously extended his divine sense into the staff. The next second, his eyes widened, and he hurriedly retracted his divine sense. His expression grew grave. Inside the golden wooden staff hid a wisp of a soul. It was a demonic-looking man curled up in the staff's dimensional space. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. What's this? Hanju was surprised. He immediately threw the golden wooden staff into the little universe belt. That remnant soul was not strong enough to hurt Hanju, but he was afraid of waking it up. What if this fellow had a powerful background? Hanju looked at the surroundings again. The demons were utterly defeated. In just a few seconds, 3 pure world cleansing had killed hundreds of thousands of demons. Hanju turned around and saw Xing Hongxian, the black hell chicken, and the others still in a daze. Yang Tiandong was especially stunned. He knew exactly how powerful Great Sage Green Python was. The invincible existence in his heart was Great Sage Green Python. The demon saint who had brought endless despair and fear to him had been insta-killed by his master. Thousands of emotions gathered in Yang Tiandong's heart, finally turning into endless guilt. So the strongest person had always been by his side, and yet he had always pursued authority and power elsewhere. Yang Tiandong smiled bitterly, and didn't even dare to look at Hanju. Hanju walked towards the cave abode. Master is too strong. He's unparalleled in the world. The black hell chicken was extremely excited. This was not the first time that a seemingly invincible expert was insta-killed by Hanju, before he reached the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. I knew it. Master was right. Cultivating in seclusion is the proper thing to do. Only by spending time on cultivation could they surpass their enemies. Xing Hongshuan's eyes lit up as she looked at Hanju. He was indeed the man she liked from the start. No one was prouder than her. When she took a fancy to Hanju, he was still immortal. She was the first person to think that he was different. Of course, her interest started from his looks. Sun Chang'an and Morongqi also worshipped Hanju, especially Morongqi, who was still somewhat unfamiliar with this grandmaster. He had always been curious about Hanju's cultivation level. Today he saw it. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm as Hanju walked past Yang Tiandong, he said, "Hurry up and kneel at the foot of the mountain. From now on, if you dare to run out without my permission, I will cut off all ties with you. I won't interfere even if you face death." Yang Tiandong took a deep breath and clenched his fists. He turned around and knelt down to Hanju. He kowtowed 3 times before going down the mountain. One demon after another flew past the mountains. One of them was surprisingly Demon King Dian Su. Although only his essence soul remained, Demon King Dian Su still had some means. As he fled, he killed those demons with weaker cultivation levels. He was taking revenge on Great Sage Green Python. So that immortal was hiding in the Jade Pure sect. No wonder the curse vanished after I went there. It seems that the curse that Great Sage Green Python felt was a warning from that immortal. Unfortunately, that fellow insisted on wreaking havoc and died. Demon King Dian Su thought to himself. He swore that he would never offend the Jade Pure sect, or kill anyone in the Great Yen. If he had the chance, he would pay a visit to the Jade Pure sect. He could even offer to be that immortal's mount. It was simply a fortuitous encounter. On the other side, the entire Jade Pure sect was in a state of extreme excitement. The sensible Li Qingzi immediately arranged for the elders to deal with the aftermath, and strictly forbade them from disturbing the peace and quiet of the immortal mountain. After today's battle, the deity-slaying elder once again stood on the altar in the hearts of the cultivators of the sect. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju sat on the bed and played with the golden wooden staff. He was considering how to deal with it. He wanted to destroy it, but he was afraid of awakening the remnant soul inside. No, I can't keep it. I should just destroy it. If the remnant soul still had a true body somewhere, it might come here in search of it. Hanju immediately used the 6 paths soul absorption technique to suck out the remnant soul. At this moment, the remnant soul suddenly opened its eyes. What do you want? A cold voice sounded, startling Hanju. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Daoist Juyan has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points. 5 stars. When Hanju saw the line of words in front of him, he was so frightened that he directly destroyed the remnant soul. 5 stars of hatred. That was almost impossible to resolve. What was the point of keeping the remnant soul? After destroying Daoist Juyan's remnant soul, Hanju immediately pulled out the interpersonal relationships. After destroying Daoist Juyan's remnant soul, Hanju immediately pulled out the interpersonal relationships. Soon he found Daoist Juyan's portrait. Daoist Juyan, 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Because you killed the demon pet and soul fragment he left in the mortal world, he hates you. When you ascend, he will definitely find trouble with you. Current hatred points. 6 stars 8th level of the loose immortal realm? Waiting for me to ascend. Hanju was first shocked, then heaved a sigh of relief. That's it. I'll wait until my cultivation is sufficient to kill you before I ascend. What can you do to me then? Hanju thought proudly. That was good too. Hanju didn't have to think too much when he knew the other party's background. Hanju had an idea. He took out the Book of Misfortune and the 2 heavenly Tao spirit stones. There were too many powerful enemies. He had to use some unconventional methods to distract them. After making up his mind, Hanju immediately threw the 2 pieces of heavenly Tao spirit stones into the Book of Misfortune. About 4 hours passed. The Book of Misfortune leveled up successfully. Book of Misfortune upgraded to a Supreme Grade Grand Unity Numinous Treasure. From a Supreme Grade Numinous Treasure to a Supreme Grade Grand Unity Numinous Treasure. This was the result of 2 upgrades. In other words, after Supreme Grade Numinous Treasure was the Grand Unity Numinous Treasure, and above that was the Supreme Grade Grand Unity Numinous Treasure. Hanju immediately cursed Daoist Juyan to test the effect. The Book of Misfortune was an ominous Dharma treasure. Hanju didn't dare to use too much force, afraid that he would squeeze himself dry. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Great Sage Green Python had fallen. This news quickly spread to the Great Yin, then to the surrounding states and dynasties. Both the righteous and demonic paths of the Great Yin cultivation world were in awe of the Jade Pure sect. Previously they felt only fear. Now, even the fiendish cultivators had respect for the Jade Pure sect. The invincible Great Sage Green Python had died there. How powerful were they? With Hanju's help, the Jade Pure sect directly established the Great Yin as a cultivation holy land. When the news spread to the other states, it also caused an uproar. Following the attack of Great Sage Green Python, the cultivation sects of the various states fled, and those in seclusion looked desolate. West Abyss State True Martial Sect. West Abyss State also suffered from the rampage of Great Sage Green Python, but the True Martial Sect managed to escape. The main reason was that before Great Sage Green Python could deal with them, he was distracted by Yang Tiandong. The upper echelons of the True Martial Sect gathered in a hall. Everyone was shocked and deeply shook when they heard that Great Sage Green Python had perished. Shengguan Qiujin smiled bitterly. Jade Pure Sect and deity-slaying elder, they truly hid well. Huang Jihao stood behind him with a complicated expression. He was now a core disciple. Everyone looked at him. One of the elders asked, "Discipline elder, you've been to the Great Yan's Jade Pure Sect before. Is it really so powerful?" Shengguan Qiujin smiled bitterly when he heard that. To be honest, I went to challenge the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure Sect, but I was defeated by him with a single strike. I'm too embarrassed to talk about the past. From the looks of it, the person who killed Great Sage Green Python should be the deity-slaying elder. Even Great Sage Green Python was killed, so Shengguan Qiujin suddenly felt much better talking about it. Far away in the Jade Pure Sect, Hanju felt baffled when he received the notification that his favorability had increased. Shengguan Qiujin straightened his back, as if it was a glorious thing to lose to Hanju. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. From now on, the Jade Pure sect will be the holy land of the great yin cultivation world. Perhaps the holy land of the 10 provinces and 9 dynasties. The true martial sect cannot offend them. We have to befriend them immediately. I'm willing to let my disciple rush to the Jade Pure sect and thank them on behalf of our sect and the entire West Abyss state. We have to prepare a huge gift before meeting them, Shangguan Qiujin said firmly. One of the elders frowned and said, the true martial sect has suffered heavy losses. If we fawn over the Jade Pure sect now, what will the disciples think? Shangguan Qiujin glared at him and shouted, wake up! What are you thinking? To the public, the Jade Pure sect saved everyone in the world. Shouldn't we thank them? For personal reasons, from now on, the Jade Pure sect will definitely be a holy land that all cultivators in the world look up to. If we are a step slower, other sects will go first. When the Jade Pure sect becomes stronger, some sects will definitely use their power to pressure the others. The earlier we go, the better. His words caused the elders to ponder. 9 Dragons sect. After hearing his disciples' report, Huang Zuantian waved his hand to dismiss him. He was the only one left in the room, and he revealed a look of admiration. Senior is worthy of being a senior. Even Great Sage Green Python isn't his match. How about I just give the 9 Dragons sect to the Jade Pure sect? Huang Zuantian muttered to himself as his eyes flickered with thought. He wasn't joking. He really had that thought. Ever since the calamity caused by Great Sage Green Python, the 9 Dragons sect had been torn apart. Many people were afraid of him, and many had even fled. He was truly exhausted by such a sect. In addition, the death of Great Sage Green Python had made him realize that only by cultivating diligently like his senior could one feel safe. Cultivators should cultivate for longevity. The so-called sects were only for passing down their legacy. If the sects were born for power, what was the difference between them and mortal gangs? Huang Zuantian didn't want to be tied down by power anymore. He wanted to imitate Hanju. After cursing Taoist Juyan, Vermilion Bird, and Mo Yiling for 7 days each, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune in satisfaction. Heaven and Earth Grass asked curiously, Master, what are you doing? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Hanju replied, comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth. This book doesn't have words or any secrets. It's precisely because it has nothing that I can let my mind wander in thought. Heaven and Earth Grass seemed to understand his words. Hanju waved his hand and moved it out of the white jade bottle and into the soil. He closed his eyes and cultivated. Killing Great Sage Green Python did not make him too happy. He had to kill a few enemies at least on the path of cultivation. It was quite a normal thing. He hoped that the effects of the incident would disappear as soon as possible, lest there be more trouble. For the next period of time, he stayed in the Khanate cave abode and did not leave. Under Li Qingzi's arrangements, no one dared to disturb him. The Jade Pure sect became lively. As the news that Great Sage Green Python had died in the Jade Pure sect spread, both the righteous and demonic sects came to thank them for eliminating a great enemy for the human race. Even sects from other states came. Huang Jihao came and wanted to visit Hanju, but was stopped. In the end, the elders received him. 8 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hanju was getting closer and closer to the 9th level of the body integration realm. On this day, Li Qingzi came to visit him. When he met Hanju again, Li Qingzi looked very restrained. Elder Han, recently, the elders have suggested changing the name of the sect to Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The emperor of the Great Yin Dynasty has also come to visit and is willing to worship the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. What do you think? Li Qingzi asked. Hanju opened his eyes and said, you guys can decide on such matters yourselves. The name Jade Pure Sacred Sect sounded very grand and had the status of a holy land. This was good as it could attract more cultivators. In addition, I've already sent a message to the ancestor and asked him to return. He has already agreed. In a few years, he will return and take up the position of sect master again. I don't want to die early, so I've decided to focus on cultivation and fight for a longer lifespan. Li Qingzi sighed, feeling a little embarrassed. Hanju saw through him and said, When the sect master's position is handed over, you can move here to cultivate. As for the cave abode, you can make one yourself. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Although Hanju had stayed in the Jade Pure sect for hundreds of years, he didn't know many people. The ones he knew could even be counted with one hand. Although Hanju had stayed in the Jade Pure sect for hundreds of years, he didn't know many people. The ones he knew could even be counted with one hand. Li Qingzi was one of them. If not for his arrangements, the spirit qi in the Immortal Mountain would not be so abundant. Of course, Li Qingzi also obtained the assurance and protection of the Jade Pure sect from Hanju. Hanju also hoped that he could walk on the path of cultivation. Li Qingzi was very happy to receive his agreement. He asked a few more questions and then left. It was a huge matter for the Jade Pure sect to change its name to Jade Pure Sacred Sect. At that time, the entire sect would hold a banquet. The elders hoped that Hanju could preach the Tao for the disciples, but he rejected them. Hanju did not want to show himself. It was good now. Although deity-slaying elder was famous, the disciples did not know his appearance. When he had nothing to do, he could still wander around the inner city. After Li Qingzi left, Hanju thought of Chang Yuer, who had left with Taoist 9 cauldrons. After this senior sister, who had always liked him, went overseas, she spent most of her time cultivating and rarely participated in the sect's conflicts. The heavenly puppet that Hanju had given her had not been used. Even if she was in danger, she relied on herself to survive. With the heavenly puppet paying attention to her, Hanju would occasionally understand her situation. Hanju used it to send a voice transmission to Chang Yuer, asking her to return with Taoist 9 cauldrons. Chang Yuer heard his voice and was extremely excited. At this moment, she was hugging the heavenly puppet in her cave abode like it was a doll. Junior, how's the situation in the Jade Pure sect? How's your cultivation? So you can talk to me through the puppet. In the first few years I called you but you didn't answer? Chang Yuer asked with a smile. The heavenly puppet replied, I can't protect you after I use up my spirit energy. That's all. Wait. No matter how Chang Yuer called, Hanju didn't respond. Chang Yuer curled her lips and snorted. Stupid junior brother. You're so concerned about me. And yet you're not willing to admit it. It's good that you're so cold. I guess Xing Hongxian and Mo Zhu often get rejected too. Wait for me to return, junior brother. Don't even think about escaping from me. Hee. Thinking of this, Chang Yuer smiled even more brightly. After a while, a deep voice came from outside. Junior sister, there's a great expert from the Scarlet Dragon Immortal Island giving a lecture recently. I have an invitation to enter the island. Do you want to go? I can bring you there. Chang Yuer's smile vanished when she heard that. She coldly said, Thank you for your kind intentions, senior brother. I won't be going. I've gained some insights from my cultivation recently. I have to study them well. Her tone was completely different from before. Alright, I'll visit you next time. If I find any good treasures on the Scarlet Dragon Immortal Island, I'll bring them to you. There's no need for the trouble, senior brother. Don't say that. Ha ha ha, I'll be leaving first. You can continue cultivating. Chang Yuer cursed him for not knowing what was good for him. He didn't cultivate properly and kept pestering her. The next time you come back, I'll already be back by my handsome junior brother's side. In a dark cave, 5 figures sat together. One of them was Xian Qingjun. A black-robed elder said, Great Sage Green Python is dead. He died in a sect called the Jade Pure Sect in the Great Yen. What do you think about this? Xian Qingjun's expression did not change. She did not seem to recognize the Jade Pure Sect. Great Sage Green Python is my master's beast pet. Letting him slaughter the humans of the 10 prefectures and 9 dynasties is also part of our plan. We must take revenge for this. Although the humans of the other 10 prefectures and 9 dynasties are either dead or injured, the human race has yet to completely disintegrate. We have to find another way. A black figure said in a low voice. It was impossible to tell if he was a human or a ghost. A burly monk beside him sneered. His bald head was covered in scars that looked like they were crawling with centipedes. He looked terrifying. He snorted. Great Sage Green Python was too arrogant. By relying on Taoist Juyan's Dharma treasure, he really thought that he was invincible. It's good that he's dead. It's still not enough to rely on the demons alone. If we want to defeat the human cultivation world, we still have to rely on the humans themselves. I propose to support the human fiendish cultivators and facilitate the infighting among the humans. A white-haired woman nodded. She wore red clothes and had pale skin. She looked more like a female ghost. She revealed a cold smile and said, "Agreed." The black-robed elder looked at Xian Qingjun and asked, "Demon Lord, what do you think?" Xian Qingjun nodded. "I have no objections. I've been to the netherworld before. The devil race is getting impatient." Upon hearing this, the black-robed elder, the white-haired woman, the black shadow, and the scarred monk frowned. "Leave the Jade Pure sect to me. I'll leave the rest to you," Xian Qingjun continued. "The source of this content is Light Novel World." Calm, the black-robed elder replied. "Yes, we have to figure out the background of that mysterious cultivator from the Jade Pure sect. If it's not beneficial to our plan, Demon Lord, I hope you will try your best to kill him." Xian Qingjun nodded, expressionless. Cultivation paid no regard to time. 10 years in the mortal world was sufficient for a whole new generation. Another 5 years passed, and the slaughter caused by Great Sage Green Python finally came to an end. The Jade Pure sect was renamed the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, and became the publicly recognized cultivation, holy land of the Great Yin cultivation world. More and more cultivators joined the sect, and many of them came from other states. After changing the name, the Jade Pure sect became stronger. Hanju finally broke through to the 9th level of the body integration realm. He was excited because the tribulation transcendence realm was right in front of him. To celebrate, he took out the Book of Misfortune and habitually cursed. Vermilion Bird, Mo Yiling, Taoist Juyan, none of them were spared. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by demons X28211. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X3779. Your friend Mo Fuzhou was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X3644. Your good friend Zhou Fan was seriously injured. His life is hanging by a thread. Due to your curse, your enemy Mo Yiling's Dao heart has been damaged. She has encountered inner demons, and her cultivation has greatly decreased. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a demon king, and was severely injured. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck, and the demon king was killed by a cultivator passing by. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian obtained an opportunity, and entered the grotto heaven-blessed land. Hanju was amused. Mo Yiling's cultivation had fallen greatly. How wonderful! Unfortunately, nothing had happened to Vermilion Bird and Taoist Juyan yet. Hanju noticed Xing Hongshuan's situation. More than 10 years ago, Hanju had set Xing Hongxian as his Dao companion. Her favorability had already reached 6 stars, and she had been physically intimate with him. She could be set as his Dao companion directly. As for Mo Zhu, Hanju had yet to set her as his Dao companion. Xing Hongxian often offered him treasures, and Mo Zhu would occasionally cause trouble for him. In Hanju's heart, Xing Hongxian was naturally more important. This woman must have been influenced by my immortal emperor descendant's providence. Her luck is really good, Hanju thought silently. At the same time, he started to look forward to what treasures Xing Hongxian would bring him. TSK. That seemed an improper thought. Half a month later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune, and habitually tested the strongest person in the Jade Pure sect other than him. Xian Qingjun, 8th level of the Mahayana realm, known as the Demon Lord. Hanju was stunned. Why was she back? This was not her mortal body. The 8th level of the Mahayana realm was so blinding to see. Hanju became nervous. He immediately used his divine sense to search for her. The demoness was resting in the inner city inn. Hanju thought for a moment and decided to go. He couldn't avoid it. However, he stopped when he reached the entrance. He decided to try the simulation trial first, and see if he could defeat Xian Qingjun. In the inner sex city inside the inn. In the inner sex city, inside the inn, Hanju saw Qianqingjun. This demoness face was still the same as before. She wasn't beautiful, but she wasn't ugly either. In conclusion, she was ordinary. Although he was already at the 9th level of the body integration realm, Hanju was still very nervous when facing her. He kept all his numinous treasures active. At this point he couldn't hide it anymore. After all, Xian Shishir knew that he was the deity-slaying elder. She might have already spoken to Qianqingjun. You're the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect? You killed Great Sage Green Python? Qianqingjun held the wine cup and asked while swirling it. Her expression was calm, making it impossible to read her thoughts. Hanju nodded slightly. He panicked internally. He did not understand Qianqingjun's personality and intentions. Most importantly, he was no match for her in the simulation trial. This woman was like a completely different person in battle. It was too terrifying. No wonder she was called the Demon Lord. I underestimated you. You were able to kill Great Sage Green Python. Have you reached the Tribulation Transcendence realm? Qianqingjun asked. She couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation. Under the concealment of the system, Hanju's cultivation had always been at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Hanju shook his head and said, I just reached the 9th level of the body integration realm. Qianqingjun finally smiled and clicked her tongue in wonder. I didn't expect you to be a rare genius. That's good. You're more suitable to be my companion now. Your Dao companion Qianqingjun's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hanju secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Qianqingjun waved her right hand, and 3 bottles of pills appeared on the table. These are all elixirs suitable for cultivating in the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Take them. Qianqingjun chuckled. Hanju didn't stand on ceremony. He took the 3 bottles of pills and asked, Did you come for me? Qianqingjun said, Yes and no. I'm here for Great Sage Green Python's matter. This demon has a powerful background. I'm here to avenge him. From now on, if anyone asks, you can't admit that you killed him. I've already killed his murderer, understand? Hanju frowned. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm Taoist Juyan still had connections in the mortal world? To be able to order the Mahayana Realm Demon Lord to personally take action. This matter was not simple. As if seeing through Hanju's worries, Qianqingjun said calmly, As long as you deny it, I will stop those people. Cultivate well and don't worry. Hanju nodded. The atmosphere turned silent. Qianqingjun smiled and stared at Hanju. He felt awkward and looked elsewhere. After a while, he couldn't help but take out the golden wooden staff. This is Great Sage Green Python's treasure. I'll give it to you. This treasure isn't simple. Keeping it would only attract trouble. Qianqingjun raised her eyebrows and smiled. This treasure is indeed extraordinary. I can take it back and let those people believe that the real murderer is dead. As soon as she finished speaking, she placed the golden wooden staff into her storage ring and stood up. The world is about to undergo a change. Cultivate well. You're my Dao companion. Even if the world is destroyed, I can still protect you. Qianqingjun walked to the window and prepared to leave. Hanju hurriedly asked, Can I know the name of the person who wants to avenge Great Sage Green Python? Qianqingjun stopped and glanced at him. Luoqioma. She then vanished from the window. Hanju used the simulation trial and discovered that she was no longer within 100 miles of the sect. She left so quickly. Hanju immediately stood up and left. After returning to the cave abode, he took out the Book of Misfortune and began cursing Luoqioma. 3 years later, Hanju raised his cultivation level to the perfected 9th level of the body integration realm and prepared to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm. For more, visit Light Novel World. According to the records of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique, the heavenly tribulation of the Tribulation Transcendence realm lasted several times longer than the body integration realms, and was also several times more powerful. He hesitated. The Tribulation Transcendence realm's heavenly tribulation was definitely terrifying. If he went to the 10,000 demon realm again, he might destroy it. Hanju got up and walked out of the cave abode. The Black Hell Chicken, Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and Murongqi were still cultivating. Ever since the battle between Hanju and Great Sage Green Python ended, the four of them were determined to cultivate diligently and never go out again. Hanju didn't talk to them and went down the mountain directly. He found a cave abode halfway up the mountain where Li Qingzi lived. Daoist's 9 cauldrons had yet to return, but Li Qingzi had moved here several years ago. Upon hearing Hanju's voice, Li Qingzi immediately opened the cave abode's door and invited Hanju in. Sect Master, is there any place nearby suitable for transcending the tribulation? It's best if there's no one within 100 miles. Hanju went straight to the point. Li Qingzi's eyes lit up. Transcending the tribulation? This meant a major breakthrough. Li Qingzi said in a low voice, "There's a plain in the east of the sect. Due to the constant rain, there are many poisonous bugs and beasts. Cultivators rarely go there, but you can undergo tribulation there. I'll bring you there." Hanju nodded. The two of them quickly left the immortal mountain. Under the Fusang tree, Murongqi asked in surprise, "Why did Grandmaster and Sect Master go out?" The Black Hell Chicken sitting on the tree branch harumphed. "He's definitely about to break through. Master's cultivation speed is faster than yours, even when he's at a higher cultivation level. Don't you feel ashamed?" Murongqi pouted. "What about you? I feel like you haven't made any breakthroughs either." Yang Tiandong snapped. The Black Hell Chicken shouted, "I'm stronger than you. So what? This Master Chicken is stronger than you." Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Yang Tiandong was furious. He could only angrily turn around and cultivate with his back facing the chicken. He didn't want to see its smug face. The chicken and dog under Master were too annoying. Half a day later, Hanju and Li Qingzi arrived at a plain covered in rain. "You can go back first. I need time to transcend the tribulation," Hanju said. Li Qingzi hesitated and then asked, "You don't need me to protect you? If there's an enemy that can interfere with my tribulation, can you block it?" "That makes sense. Goodbye." After Li Qingzi left, Hanju continued flying forward. The rain continued to pour, and he could see a thick fog on the horizon that stretched as far as the eye could see. The sparse trees on the plains were filled with all sorts of poisonous insects. Occasionally, one could see some demonic beasts that had yet to gain human form running on the grass. Not long after, Hanju chose a place and sat in the air. He started to circulate his energy and prepared to transcend the tribulation. 6 hours later, the heavenly tribulation had arrived. With Hanju's numinous treasures and his own strength, it was almost impossible for him to perish in the heavenly tribulation unless someone took the opportunity to ambush him. Although no one was stronger than him in the Great Yen, he was always worried. According to some of the cultivation novels he had read, the new plot would begin when the protagonist's tribulation was disturbed. A month later, Hanju successfully transcended the tribulation and entered the tribulation transcendence realm. At the same time, he knew that he was not the scripted protagonist of a novel like Zhoufan. You have successfully broken through to the tribulation transcendence realm. You have the following choices. 1. Prepare to ascend. You can go to the 3 realms. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a heavenly Tao spirit stone. 2. Continue cultivating and break through to the Mahayana realm. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. He could ascend after reaching the tribulation transcendence realm. Updated from Light Novel World. Hanju couldn't help but think of the Vermilion Bird and Taoist Juyan. Those two were still waiting for him in the upper realm. How could he ascend? Hanju silently chose to continue cultivating and not ascend for the time being. Hanju silently chose to continue cultivating and not ascend for the time being. You chose to continue cultivating and break through to the Mahayana realm. You have obtained a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining the Grand Unity Numinous Treasure, Purple Gold Soft Armor. Congratulations on obtaining the mystical power, Universe in the Sleeves, Purple Gold Soft Armor, 8th Grade Grand Unity Defensive Numinous Treasure. Extremely strong defensive power. Universe in the sleeves. Your sleeves contain heaven and earth. Can absorb the yin-yang, and all things in heaven and earth. A defensive numinous treasure. A grand unity treasure. Awesome. Hanju thought happily. It was just that this defense was extremely strong and difficult to test. But it was fine. The simulation trial had already copied Xian Qingjuan's cultivation level. He could test it using her. Hanju didn't inherit the mystical power, but consolidated his cultivation first. After reaching the tribulation transcendence realm, his spirit energy could be said to have increased by more than 10 times. During the process of consolidating his cultivation, many memories appeared in Hanju's mind. The method of ascension. With his own providence, he could trigger the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao could help him transcend the mortal world and ascend to the upper world. Not only could Hanju go to the upper world, but he could also go to the underworld and other planes. It should have something to do with the path he had chosen previously. No matter which world it was, Hanju didn't want to go for the time being. Being at the top here was better than starting at the bottom elsewhere. He had finally reached the top-notch level in the present world, but now, he had to jump into the higher realms to become a stepping stone for others? Impossible. After all, he still had a long lifespan. Thinking of his lifespan, Hanju checked his attributes panel. Name. Hanju follow new episodes on the light novel world.com platform. Lifespan. 478/109,200. Race. Human mortal transcendence stage. Cultivation. Level 1 of the tribulation transcendence realm. Technique. 6 paths of reincarnation can be inherited. Magic. Unparalleled finger divine sword. 7 illusionary steps. 3 pure shadow sword unparalleled. 9 dragons devil expelling seal. Major Kiliacosm thunderstorm. Wind god technique. Still phase technique. Mystical power. 6 paths soul absorption. Heavenly punishment ghost deity sword imitate. Heaven and earth, somersault cloud, 10,000 sword sect, can be inherited. Tathagata incantation. 6 paths ultimate seal. Firmament sword chi. Heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger. Universe in the sleeves. Equipment. Golden cicadas mystic divine robe, 7th grade numinous treasure. Little universe belt Qilin sword, demon binding rope, burning fiend bell, 6th grade numinous treasure. 9-star spirit trampling boots, 5th grade numinous treasure. Frost lords. Glazed crown, 4th grade numinous treasure. Book of misfortune, supreme grade numinous treasure. Earth emperor's soul ward, 3rd grade numinous treasure. Heart protecting immortal chain, 3rd grade numinous treasure. Calm meditation mat. Grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure. Heavenly spirit bracelet, supreme grade numinous treasure. Purple gold soft armor. Grand unity 8th grade numinous treasure. Self-created mystical power. 3 pure world cleansing grand unity. Birth. Dharma treasure. Primordial judgment sword. Cultivation potential. Spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It contains top-notch wind, fire, water, earth, wood and thunder cultivation potentials. Increases providence to a certain extent. Connate providence is as follows. Unparalleled. Immortal beauty top-notch charm. Destined sword fanatic. Top-notch sword Dao aptitude. Top-notch sword Dao learning ability. Unparalleled movement technique. Top-notch movement technique aptitude. Descendant of the immortal emperor. After the game begins, you will receive an unparalleled cultivation technique. 109,200 years of lifespan. Hanju seriously suspected that this was due to the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. He had never heard of cultivators living for 100,000 years. He was only at the tribulation transcendence realm. When he broke through to the Mahayana realm, how much longer would his lifespan increase? Hanju perked up and started to focus on consolidating his cultivation. 7 days later, his cultivation had completely stabilized. He had become a true tribulation transcendence realm cultivator. He looked up and saw that the grasslands had been charred black by the heavenly lightning. There were potholes everywhere, and it was no longer raining. Not only had the heavenly tribulation changed the landscape, but it had also changed the climate here. Hanju started to return. Not long after, A line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected bearer of Khanate Providence, check its origin. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Khanate Providence? Hanju couldn't help but become curious. It had been a long time since he had encountered someone with Khanate Providence. He immediately chose to check. Fong Liang. 3rd level of the Qi refinement realm, the son of heaven and earth. He was born with the providence of heaven and earth, and is protected by it. Because the providence is too great, his physical body and soul cannot bear it. Once he breaks through to the golden core realm, the providence of heaven and earth will manifest. From then on, he will rise up with unstoppable momentum. Son of heaven and earth. What the heck? Hanju raised his eyebrows. He suspected that he had seen wrongly. He looked carefully, certain that he had not seen wrong. Is this the protagonist of an overpowered main character novel? Hanju immediately used his divine sense to search. Soon he caught sight of Fong Liang. Fong Liang hid in a forest and looked in his direction. Hanju arrived in front of him in a flash, scaring him so much that he hurriedly retreated. This person looked to be only 17 or 18 years old. His face still had a hint of childishness. This junior didn't mean to disturb you. This junior apologizes for bothering your tribulation. Fong Liang hurriedly knelt down and begged for mercy. Hanju was speechless. This is the son of heaven and earth? So cowardly. Hanju said expressionlessly. Your cultivation is so weak. Why are you here? Fong Liang asked in fear. To be honest, I'm an itinerant cultivator. I wanted to join the Jade Pure sect, and happened to pass by here. Hanju looked at him deeply, and threw a deity-slaying token in front of him. Our encounter is fate. When you enter the Jade Pure sacred sect, you can take out this token. Hanju disappeared after saying this. Although he was the son of heaven and earth, Hanju didn't think too highly of him. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. By the time Fong Liang went on a rampage, Hanju might have already become an immortal. Fong Liang picked up the deity-slaying token, and saw the 2 words on it. His expression changed drastically as he muttered. Could he be the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sacred sect that the cultivators in the market are talking about? A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Fong Liang has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability. 4 stars. When a person was still weak, it was easy for him to feel admiration when he received the guidance of an expert for no reason. After returning to the Immortal Mountain, Hanju ignored the Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, and the others and returned to his cave abode like a gust of wind. He sat on the bed, and immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing. This was something worth celebrating. Heaven and Earth Grass said excitedly, Master, you're finally back. After Hanju left for so long, it was worried that it had been abandoned. How's your cultivation recently? Hanju asked. This grass was already at the 8th level of the Qi refinement realm. It was quite talented. Heaven and Earth Grass replied. While cultivating, I will always recall some cultivation memories. It seems like a cultivation technique. Hanju was not surprised. After all, Heaven and Earth Grass had once comprehended Tao with the immortal God. If there's anything wrong, let me know. Yes, Master. The news of Hanju breaking through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm did not spread. Li Qingzi also did not spread this news everywhere, and cultivated in seclusion all day. Several days later, Fong Liang arrived at the Jade Pure sacred sect. Due to the deity-slaying token, he directly became an inner sect disciple. Fong Liang asked about the deity-slaying elder's residence, and how his disciples succeeded in getting under his wing. Soon, he found a way and knelt before the stone tablet at the foot of the Immortal Mountain. He wasn't the only one. More than 10 people were also kneeling. Ever since the death of Great Sage Green Python, the number of disciples who wanted to take Hanju as their master increased exponentially. Every once in a while, disciples would come to kowtow to him. This had already become a characteristic of the Jade Pure sacred sect. However, the elders strictly forbade any commotion near the cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. If it was serious, they would be expelled. Hanju noticed Fong Liang's arrival and hesitated. wondering if he should accept the youth as his disciple. The most up-to-date novels are published on lightnovelworld.com. Hanju thought about it and ignored him. The son of heaven and earth looked powerful, but if he had the same temperament as Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog, it would only cause more trouble for him. It was not worth it. Hanju didn't need to rely on the power of others anyway. After thinking, he closed his eyes again and continued cultivating. Time passed. After Xian Qingjun left, Luo Qiuma, who wanted to avenge Great Sage Green Python, did not appear. It seemed that she had settled everything. As the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger, Hanju no longer encountered any trouble that he had to deal with. He could focus on cultivating. 5 years passed quickly. At the foot of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, the disciples kneeling had changed to a new batch. But Feng Liang was still there. Hanju was a little surprised. He didn't expect the son of heaven and earth to be so patient. He stood up and walked out of the abode. He found Sun Chang'an and asked, "Do you still want to take in a disciple?" Yang Tiandong, the Black Hell Chicken, and Morongqi opened their eyes upon hearing this. Sun Chang'an hesitated. "Master, do you want me to accept one?" Teaching Morongqi already made him very anxious, because Morongqi's talent was stronger than his, and his cultivation had already caught up. In the future, his disciple would be stronger than his master. If word got out, how embarrassed would he feel? If he took in another disciple, it would delay his cultivation as well. "Master, do you want me to take a disciple?" Yang Tiandong asked with a smile. He was tempted by Morongqi's talent. Hanju glared at him and said angrily, "If I give him to you, I'm afraid I'll be giving the Demon Kings a grandson." Yang Tiandong lowered his head in shame. "All right, master. Who do you want me to accept? A disciple from the foot of the mountain?" Sun Chang'an said helplessly. Hanju waved his hand and moved Feng Liang up the mountain. Feng Liang's cultivation was weak. After kneeling for 5 years, he collapsed on the ground and couldn't even stand up. He was excited when he saw Hanju. "Senior, are you willing to take me as your disciple?" Feng Liang asked excitedly. Morongqi said disdainfully, "Disciple? You can only be my junior." Feng Liang was stunned. Hanju instructed Sun Chang'an, "You can teach him the Jade Pure technique. He's not allowed to leave the mountain before the Golden Core realm." With that, he walked back to the cave abode. At this point, Feng Liang became Sun Chang'an's disciple and became the second grand disciple. After returning to the cave abode, Hanju sat on the bed and rubbed his chin in thought. His eldest disciple, Yang Tiandong, had the bloodline of a demon saint. His second disciple, Su Qi, was the reincarnation of the jinx of the heavenly court. His third disciple, Sun Chang'an, was the reincarnation of the ancient spiritual ginseng. His first grand disciple, Morongqi, was a reincarnated war god of the divine palace. His title was Profound Truth Divine Emperor. His second grand disciple, Feng Liang, was the son of heaven and earth. The Black Hell Chicken was the reincarnation of an upper world demon saint. Its true form was the Black Hell Phoenix. The chaotic heavenly dog was a divine beast of providence. There was also heaven and earth grass who could become an immortal. Wow! This was a grand lineup of providence bearers. Unknowingly, Hanju had already gathered so many high potential followers. Among them, the strongest should be Morongqi. Why don't I ascend after they develop? Or let them ascend first and support me in the future? Hanju thought silently. He shook his head and laughed. He stopped thinking and continued cultivating. Another 3 years passed. Follow new episodes on the lightnovelworld.com platform. Taoist 9 Cauldrons returned with a group of disciples, including Chang Yuer. This matter caused quite a stir in the sect. Chang Yuer wanted to visit Fairy Shixian, but when she learned that she had already moved to the same mountain as Hanju, she couldn't help but frown. Something was wrong. Despite all her planning, she failed to guard against her master. The more Chang Yuer thought about it, the more panicked she became. Thinking back, Hanju was very indifferent to everyone except Fairy Shixian. Could it be that Hanju rejected her, Zhu, and Xing Hongxian because he liked Fairy Xixian? Chang Yue hurriedly looked for someone to inquire about the situation. She only heaved a sigh of relief when she learned that the sect master had also moved to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. I guess I'm overthinking. Junior brother is not someone who will fall in love so easily. Chang Yue immediately headed to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. Hanju opened the mountain protecting array formation and let her into the cave abode. The moment the black hell chicken saw Chang Yue, its head shrank. It remembered that when it was young, Yue would often touch its head and even tug at its feathers. It could be said to be a childhood nightmare. Junior brother. Long time no see. Chang Yue shouted excitedly and immediately pounced at Hanju. Hanju raised his hand and stopped her. He said helplessly, "Senior sister, what are you trying to do?" After leaving for so long, Chang Yue's cultivation level increased very quickly. She was already at the 9th level of the Golden Core realm. Most importantly, Chang Yue also had talent in refining talismans, spirit arrays, cultivation, alchemy, and so on. It could be said to be a comprehensive development. "I missed you," Chang Yue grumbled. She was shocked. What kind of technique was this? It actually made her unable to move. If Junior brother was to do something to her now. Sigh. Unfortunately, he was heartless. Hanju let go of her. The two of them sat on the bed and started chatting. Chang Yue talked about her experiences in the past few years. Hanju listened carefully and learned about the situation overseas. The overseas sect where Taoist 9 Cauldrons was located was not harmonious. There were also enemies, and several disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred sect had died. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Hanju was secretly glad that he didn't leave with Taoist 9 Cauldrons. If that was the case, there would be endless trouble, and his cultivation level would definitely not be as high as now. The two of them chatted for a long time. Before leaving, Hanju asked her to move to this mountain. Chang Yue agreed happily. Then, she went out to choose a location and opened a cave abode. Perhaps Hanju was thinking too much, but Chang Yue chose the cave abode between Fairy Xixian and Xing Hongxian. There was almost no difference in distance between the two. Fairy Xixian and Xing Hongxian had gone out to adventure not long ago, and had yet to return. Chang Yue's return was only a small incident, and did not disturb Hanju's Dao heart. Hanju didn't take the time to cultivate his feelings with Chang Yue. Instead, he continued cultivating. Love was nothing to him. Cultivation was the most important. Only by becoming stronger would those who liked him like him more. Women would never occupy the most important place in his heart. Under the dusk on the mountain path, Su Qi held his sword and walked forward. His expression was tired and travel-worn. He was rushing towards the Great Yen. For some reason, he felt that the return journey was even more dangerous than when he had first left. He had recently encountered many fiendish cultivators, all of whom were extremely evil. Su Qi couldn't help but glance at the old man on the nearby mountain peak. This person was the Tribulation Transcendence Realm cultivator he had encountered in the ruins of the demon-taming sect. His name was Dooku. Dooku felt regret at the demon-taming sect's destruction. If he couldn't fulfill his wish, when he ascended one day, this would become a mental demon. Thus, he followed Su Qi and wanted to take him as a disciple. Su Qi already had a master. How could he agree? Dooku did not force him. He followed along and helped Su Qi kill many fiendish cultivators. Su Qi understood Dooku's personality. He wouldn't rely on his cultivation to suppress a junior, so he dared to joke with him. The two of them were like rivals now, often fighting and even breaking up before making up again. "Stop!" Dooku suddenly shouted, causing Su Qi to shiver in fear. He hurriedly stopped and looked around vigilantly, guarding against enemy attacks. Dooku arrived in front of him in a flash. His expression was dark as he said, "Luo Chioma, why are you staring at my disciple? What do you want?" For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm following his gaze, a black shadow appeared under the shade of the tree ahead. It was difficult to make out its true appearance. The figure was horrifying like a ghost. "Your disciple? Isn't this the Devil Master's disciple?" Dooku, if you want to ascend without a hitch, then obediently go away. This guy is mine. Devil Master's disciple. Devil Master's disciple? Dooku looked at Su Chi with a strange expression. No wonder this fellow didn't agree to it. He was still puzzled earlier. Could Su Chi's master be more powerful than him? Su Chi frowned, equally puzzled. Ever since the Devil Master had left him with the cultivation technique, he had not appeared again. He even suspected that the Devil Master was dead. Su Chi took a deep breath and looked at Luo Chioma. Why are you looking for me? Luo Chioma smiled teasingly. I'll give you an opportunity, a great opportunity. Su Chi's eyes shimmered as he weighed the pros and cons. Dooku frowned, not knowing what to do. Senior, you can leave. Thank you for taking care of me during this period. Su Chi looked at Dooku and said seriously. He could tell that Dooku was very afraid of Luo Chioma and did not have a firm attitude. So he did not want to make things difficult for him. Dooku hesitated. Su Chi thought for a moment and said, if you really want to resolve the issue in your heart regarding the demon taming sect, then go to the Great Yen and serve the Jade Pure sect for a period of time. I came from there and later joined the demon taming sect. The Jade Pure sect is equivalent to my hometown. Dooku sighed. He was finally going to ascend, so he naturally could not give up his bright future for a junior. The Jade Pure sect? Luo Chioma thought in surprise. Didn't the person who killed his master's pet come from there? Was this a coincidence or was it fate? Su Chi looked at Luo Chioma and said, take me away. Somehow, Luo Chioma met his gaze and felt inexplicably uneasy. 3 years after Chang Yue returned, Han Ju had completely mastered the 8th level of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. The 8th level of the cultivation technique was extremely profound and involved a lot of the true meaning of yin and yang. All these years, he had been cultivating while absorbing qi and comprehending the 8th level of the cultivation technique. After cultivating the 8th level, a huge wave of memories surged into Han Ju's mind. Mystical power. Some of the specific realms of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique contain mystical powers. The previous 6 paths soul absorption and 6 paths insignia had benefited Han Ju greatly. He was looking forward to the mystical power this time. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for the best novel reading experience. Han Ju entered a mysterious state of enlightenment. Heaven and earth grass shook slightly. Several days later, Han Ju had mastered a new technique. Door of Reincarnation. As the name suggested, he could step into the door of the 6 paths of reincarnation. He could directly throw his soul into the 6 paths of reincarnation and also use it to step into the netherworld. This mystical power is incredible. Han Ju was in a good mood. With this ability, he could escape to the netherworld if he couldn't win in the future. He loved defensive and escape methods the most. Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Luo Chioma. After him were Taoist Juyin, Vermilion Bird and Mo Yiling. They enjoyed their turn one by one. Han Ju cursed as he checked his emails regularly. Your divine pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X10023. Your good friend Mo Fujo accidentally entered the ancient forbidden ground and was entangled by an ominous force. Your good friend Zhou Fan is being hunted by 3 sections. He burned his blood essence and has developed the evil heart. Your Tao companion, Xing Hongxian, has comprehended the true meaning of the blessed land. Her comprehension has increased greatly. Because of your curse, your enemy Taoist Juyin has suffered a decline in his luck. His chances of encountering inner demons have increased. Your disciple Su Chi spread bad luck. Together with your curse, Luo Chioma's lifespan has decreased by 1,000 years. This effect will continue to grow. Your grand disciple Morong Qi created his own mystical power. His providence has increased greatly. Interesting. It was no longer just people getting beaten up. There were more events now. What did ominous power mean? Evil spirits. Han Ju couldn't help but mourn for his brother-in-law. Xing Hongshuan's comprehension ability had increased. It seemed that the blessed land she had gone to was not simple. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm seeing that Taoist Juyan and Luo Qiuma were successfully cursed by him. Hanju was so happy that he wanted to clap his hands. Wait, Su Qi is spreading bad luck to Luo Qiuma? What a coincidence. The two of them met? Hanju hesitated. Of the 4 daily targets, he had been the most ruthless to Luo Qiuma. He wasn't afraid that the curse would go wrong, for, in the process, he had imbued the Book of Misfortune with his own will. Luo Qiuma had a karmic relationship with Xian Qingjun. Hanju suddenly had a bold idea. Could it be because of the curse of the Book of Misfortune that Luo Qiuma met Su Qi? The power of karma was the most bizarre and mysterious Tao of the laws in the world. Hanju couldn't figure it out, and decided not to think about it anymore. It would be best if Luo Qiuma died. Only then would there be no possibility of him seeking revenge. Although Xian Qingjun promised, Hanju never placed his hopes on others. It was best if his enemy was dead, or there would be no end to trouble. A month later, Hanju summoned his disciples into the cave abode. The black hell chicken followed. Hanju asked them to find a place to sit down. Feng Liang almost stepped on heaven and earth grass as it cried out in shock, causing him to shiver. This is an immortal grass that I'm raising. Be careful. Hanju frowned. Feng Liang was so frightened that his face turned pale. He was afraid of offending Hanju. The black hell chicken came before heaven and earth grass and asked curiously, Master, when did you start raising it? Hanju said calmly, I forgot already. I called you here today to preach the Tao to you. If you have any questions regarding cultivation, you can ask. After reaching the Tribulation Transcendence realm, his cultivation speed slowed down. He could spare some time to teach his disciples now. Hearing this, everyone was pleasantly surprised and thanked him. The preaching began. Hanju explained his sword Tao to them. Although there were very few pure sword cultivators, most cultivators knew how to practice the sword. The sword was the lord of all weapons, and suited the temperament of cultivators. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. 7 days later, Hanju stopped talking. All the disciples were enlightened, including the black hell chicken. Hanju began to answer their questions. 10 days later, the disciples walked out of the cave abode. Grandmaster's cultivation is truly profound. Morongqi sighed, his face full of admiration. Feng Liang nodded. Yang Tiandong clenched his fists. He made up his mind to never have any distracting thoughts in the future. He wanted to cultivate well with Hanju. Listening to his lecture was better than wandering outside for 100 years. Sun Chang'an didn't say a word. He walked to the edge of the cliff and began cultivating the heartless flying sword. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju took out the pill Xian Qingjun gave him. After taking it, he started to breathe in the heaven and earth spirit qi. Heaven and earth grass suddenly said, Master, how about I become a sword cultivator in the future? Sword cultivator grass? Sure. Perhaps you will become the #1 swords grass in the 6 realms. Hanju smiled dotingly. When heaven and earth grass heard this, it became even more excited, wishing to immediately transform. Hanju predicted that in at most 50 years, heaven and earth grass would be able to transform. It was all thanks to the spirit qi of the immortal mountain. All the disciples were cultivating in peace and thriving. This made Hanju very satisfied. This was the cultivation life that he yearned for. Such good times. Oh, other than the chaotic heavenly dog not returning. It better not return. Surrounded by mountains, a massive altar rested on the flat ground. The chaotic heavenly dog was sprawled on the altar, bound by long, sharp vines. Its silver-white fur was dyed red. The altar was surrounded by fiendish cultivators. A middle-aged man in black Taoist robes pulled out a sword from his waist. He pointed the sword at the chaotic heavenly dog and said, The auspicious hour is coming. With the blood of the gods, I summon the heart of the fiend. Are you all prepared to welcome the arrival of the Fiend Emperor? We await the arrival of the Fiend Emperor. Visit Light Novel World. For the best novel reading experience, all the fiendish cultivators shouted in unison, their faces filled with fanaticism. Hanju got up and found Li Qingzi to ask about Fiend Emperor Jinaiha. Fiend Emperor Jinaiha? That's a rumored legendary fiendish cultivator. Even if he exists, it's likely that he has already ascended. Li Qingzi shook his head. Hanju asked, "Can you help me investigate? There's no need to make a big fuss. You can just scout around in the sect." Of course. Li Qingzi would never reject Hanju's request. He immediately acted. Hanju returned to his cave abode. He sensed that Fairy Shixian had returned. He hesitated for a moment before deciding to pay her a visit. Arriving in front of Fairy Shixian's cave abode, the door opened before Hanju could speak. He entered the cave abode. Fairy Shixian's cave abode was very simple and did not have many decorations. A faint fragrance filled the cave. Sitting on the cushion, she slowly opened her eyes. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for the best novel reading experience. Hanju walked in front of her and sat down. He smiled and asked, "Have you gained anything recently?" Fairy Shixian chuckled. "There are indeed some gains. Fellow Taoist Han is truly the lucky star of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Ever since you joined, the sect has not only become stronger, but our elders' luck has also increased. We went out to train and didn't return empty-handed." "Fairy, you must be joking." "That's right, it's the providence I brought." Hanju was secretly pleased. In his opinion, other than him, it was also related to Morong Qi, Fang Liang, and the others. The providence of these disciples gathered in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect's providence and blessed the entire sect. The two of them chatted for a while. When there was nothing else to talk about, they began to discuss the Tao. Several days later, Hanju immediately stood up and left. Looking at his back, Fairy Shixian's lips curled up slightly. Then, she closed her eyes and continued cultivating. After walking out of the cave abode, Hanju was puzzled. Why didn't his favorability increase? Is it that difficult? Could it be that Fairy Shixian has severed all emotions? Hanju smiled and didn't think much about it. This was just out of interest. He didn't expect any outcome. Li Qingzi suddenly appeared in front of him and asked, "Elder Han, why did you come out of Junior Sister's cave abode?" He sounded wary. Hanju was speechless. "You've severed your male organ for the heavenly constellation Golden Body. Why are you still jealous? It's just a visit. After all, I was once a disciple of Jade Serene Peak. Did you find out anything?" Hanju said casually. His attitude made Li Qingzi lower his guard. Li Qingzi replied, "I found out from the ancestor that Jinaiha was once the emperor of an empire. He cultivated a fiendish technique and suffered from qi deviation. 1,000 years later, he actually regained his consciousness. When he returned to his empire, he discovered that the empire had already changed. He was so angry that he massacred the empire and became a real fiend. Due to his cruelty, he slaughtered countless people. He created the name of the Fiend Emperor and once ruled over all the fiendish cultivators in the world. He had immense power and eventually tried to ascend. However, he did not succeed in ascending and died in the heavenly tribulation. Because he's the first person to unite all the fiendish cultivators in the world, the name of the Fiend Emperor is regarded as an immortal god among them. What a legend! However, dying in the heavenly tribulation of ascension made him appear somewhat pathetic. He was even inferior to Taoist Juyan. That guy had at least successfully ascended. From the looks of it, Jinaiha had been revived through the chaotic heavenly dog's sacrifice. Elder Han, why are you asking about Jinaiha? Could it be that his fiend disciples are making a comeback? Li Qingzi asked nervously. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect had just become peaceful. He didn't want it to be broken so quickly. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. Just asking. I'm going back to cultivate. Hanju cupped his fists and smiled. Then he turned around and left. Li Qingzi did not believe him and secretly guessed. Could it be that Fiend Emperor Jinaiha has been resurrected? He walked to the entrance of Fairy Shixian's cave abode and asked with a smile, "Junior, can I come in and catch up with you?" "No." Li Qingzi left dejectedly. A year later, the Jade Pure Sacred Sect welcomed an esteemed guest, a Tribulation Transcendence Realm cultivator. He was willing to be a guest elder and protect the sect for 100 years. This news quickly shook the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. This person was Dooku. When Dooku discovered that there were no body integration realm cultivators in the sect, he immediately lost interest. As for the matter regarding the great sage green python, it had already been many years. The elders no longer mentioned it. Hanju detected Dooku's message. Dooku, 3rd level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm. He was once a disciple of the demon taming sect. He is currently a wandering cultivator. The demon taming sect? Hanju frowned, and killing intent arose in his heart. Should I kill this fellow? On second thought, the destruction of the demon taming sect had nothing to do with him. Dooku had shown good intentions as well. Wait and see. If Dooku did anything unusual, Hanju would directly attack. To be safe, he still used the simulation trial. Yeah. Instant kill. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. He was completely at ease. Jinaiha has developed hatred against you. Current hatred points, 3 stars. A line of words suddenly appeared in front of Hanju. He couldn't help but be stunned. Jinaiha has developed hatred towards me? Jinaiha has developed hatred towards me? Hanju's first reaction was that the chaotic heavenly dog had betrayed him. But on second thought, no. If the dog had betrayed him so easily, it would have done so long ago. Could it be that Jinaiha had read the chaotic heavenly dog's memories? It was very likely. Just nice. Let me check you out. Hanju used his interpersonal relationships and quickly found Jinaiha. His avatar was feminine, demonic, and had a black and white appearance. Jinaiha, 3rd level of the Mahayana realm, Fiend Emperor of the mortal world. His disciples sacrificed your divine pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, to summon him back from the abyss. He extracted the chaotic heavenly dog's soul and learned of your existence. He is very wary of you. If there is a chance, he will definitely kill you. Current hatred points, 3 stars. 3rd level of the Mahayana realm? That was it. His cultivation level was even lower than Xian Qingjuan's. How dare he call himself the Fiend Emperor? Hanju secretly despised him, and immediately began to worry for the chaotic heavenly dog. Is this dog dead? Even if Hanju found the chaotic heavenly dog, he might not be able to save it. The most important thing was still to cultivate diligently. Hanju took a deep breath and took out the Book of Misfortune. He cursed for half a month before resuming cultivation. Above the sea of clouds, a black cloud raced past. On the cloud sat 2 figures. One of them was Su Qi. The other person was a black shadow. His true appearance could not be seen clearly. It was like a human shadow. It was Luo Qioma. Senior, where are we going? Su Qi asked. Ever since he had followed Luo Qioma, they had been wandering around. They often encountered natural disasters and accidentally entered ancient forbidden grounds. It could be said that they had suffered terribly. Luo Qioma snorted. Are you done asking? I'll tell you. We're going to find the Fiend Emperor. Ever since he met Su Qi, there had never been peace. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for the best novel reading experience. He even suspected that Su Qi was a jinx. Fiend Emperor? What's his relationship with the Devil Master? Su Qi asked curiously. There isn't a relationship. They're just both from the demonic path. Who's stronger? It's hard to compare. The Fiend Emperor belongs to an even older era, and his achievements are even greater. What achievement? He once unified all the fiends of the world. Then, you want to give me to the Fiend Emperor as a subordinate? There must be generals and soldiers below the Emperor. You think very clearly. The two of them began to chat. Boom! A thundercloud appeared at the end of the sea of clouds. It was incomparably vast and massive. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, causing the atmosphere in the sky to become oppressive. Luo Qioma's heart sank. Oh no, was there another natural disaster? In the blink of an eye, another few years passed. Detected that you are 500 years old and have taken another step forward. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately. Eliminate the fiends and become famous. You can obtain a grand unity numinous treasure. 2. Continue cultivating. Stay away from the mortal world. Don't cause trouble. You can obtain a grand unity numinous treasure. Since the rewards were the same, he would follow his heart. Hanju silently chose the second option. You choose to continue cultivating and stay away from the mortal world. You will obtain a Grand Unity Numinous treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the Grand Unity Numinous treasure. 9-layered heaven trampling boots. 9-layered heaven trampling boots. A 6th grade Grand Unity Numinous treasure. It contains the true meaning of wind. It can reach the heavens in a single step and trample the 9 heavens. Not bad. A numinous treasure that could increase his ability to run. Hanju immediately took out the 9-layered heaven trampling boots and started to make it recognize him as the owner. Updated from Light Novel World. He decided to give the 9 stars spirit trampling boots that he was wearing to Xing Hongxian. The 9 stars spirit trampling boots was a 5th grade numinous treasure that could change sizes depending on the wearer. After all, Xing Hongxian was often out and needed a pair of numinous treasure boots. An hour later, Hanju put on the 9-layered heaven trampling boots. He directly jumped out of the cave abode and started to use the boots to ascend to the sky. With just one step, the ground became tiny. Taking another step, Hanju saw a sky full of stars. A step further, Hanju was blocked by an invisible barrier. He looked down and saw that the mortal world was not round like Earth, but a vast continent. Countless stars surrounded it, shimmering with faint light. Hanju raised his hand and touched the invisible barrier. What's this? Does breaking through this barrier lead to ascension? Where's the immortal world located? Hanju scanned the vast stars and wanted to find the immortal world, but he couldn't find it. Stop looking. The immortal world is not there. The stars outside the mortal world are said to be a painting, a Dharma treasure of the immortal gods. The mortal world is trapped by the heavenly rules. With the permission of the heavenly rules, one can ascend. The lowest requirement for ascension is the tribulation transcendence realm. A voice sounded as Hanju glanced over. It was Dooku, the new guest elder of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Hanju asked, "Why didn't you ascend?" Dooku replied, "To fulfill my promise, I will ascend after guarding the Jade Pure Sacred Sect for 100 years. He looked at Hanju with a meaningful gaze and said, "I didn't expect the Jade Pure Sacred Sect to have a great cultivator like you. To be able to come here, he had to be at least at the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Body Integration realm cultivators could not come up. To tell you the truth, I came to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect under the request of one of your disciples. This child's name is Su Qi. He was captured by the great fiend Luo Qioma. He's one of the 5 fiends of today. He said that Su Qi has even acknowledged the Devil Master as his master. Now that Luo Qioma and the Devil Master have appeared, the world will probably be in chaos. In 100 years, do you want to ascend with me? We can look out for each other along the way," Dooku said seriously. Luo Qioma Devil Master, together with the newly resurrected Fiend Emperor. Was the demonic path on the rise? Hanju declined politely. No, it's too early to ascend. The troubles in the upper world will definitely be no less than in the mortal world. If I don't have the ability to protect myself, I won't ascend. Dooku shook his head and laughed. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. It seemed that this fellow Taoist still had a long lifespan. Sigh. This is true talent. Hanju asked. Who are the 5 fiends? Dooku didn't hide anything. Luo Qioma, Demon Lord, Patriarch Blood Fiend, Fiendish Arhat, and White-Haired Fiend Lady. All 5 of them are top mighty figures of the demonic path. They're all Mahayana cultivators? I'm not sure. Even if they aren't, they should reach it soon. Then the righteous path has no mighty figure who can compete with them? Of course we do. But most of the righteous path's mighty figures are ascetics. They cultivate in seclusion all year round and are close to ascension. Most of them don't want to cause trouble and gain enemies. Hanju was deep in thought after hearing that. He hesitated for a moment and then said, I've received news that the Fiend Emperor has been revived. Do you think it's related to the 5 of them? Dooku's expression changed drastically. The resurrection of the Fiend Emperor? Crap. Fellow Taoist, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go into seclusion and cultivate. With that, Dooku vanished. Hanju frowned. Was the Fiend Emperor so scary? He returned to the cave abode. The conversation just now proved that Dooku had no ill intentions. Although this person's cultivation level was high, he was clearly afraid of trouble and would not harm the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. To be on the safe side, Hanju stood up and retrieved Chongyuer and Fairy Shixian's heavenly puppets. He planned to increase the puppets' spirit energy and raise them to the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Xing Hongxian had yet to return, so he could only do it next time. A month later, the two puppets successfully changed their spirit energy. Hanju returned the two puppets to Fairy Shixian and Chongyuer. He didn't talk much with the two girls and immediately returned. He came to the Fusang tree. His disciples were all cultivating. Hanju looked at Fong Liang. He was already at the third level of the Foundation Establishment realm. To be honest, his potential was a little poor. After all, the spirit qi on this mountain was extremely rich. Morong Qi and Sun Chang'an had already broken through to the nascent soul realm. Should I help this kid? Hanju thought silently. For more, visit Light Novel World. After Fong Liang reached the Golden Core realm, his luck would soar. Hanju was somewhat curious about how it would happen. Forget it. Let him work on his own to prevent himself from becoming complacent. Forget it. Let him work on his own to prevent himself from becoming complacent. Hanju shook his head and walked straight back to the Khanate cave abode. Just as he entered, the black hell chicken on the Fusang tree jumped down and said, "Come, come, come, let's fight. Other than little Liang, all of you come at me together." Morong Qi immediately stood up. After breaking through to the nascent soul realm, he wanted to try it out with the black hell chicken. The black hell chicken often bullied them because of its high cultivation level. With its seniority, Morong Qi did not dare to complain. Yang Tiandong stood up, but Sun Chang'an was not interested. Then the black hell chicken, Morong Qi, and Yang Tiandong flew above the clouds and began fighting. Such a battle would no longer cause much of an impact in the current Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The number of nascent soul realm cultivators in the sect was increasing, and the nascent soul realm was no longer the first-rate level of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. After Taoist Nine Cauldrons took over the position of sect master, he vigorously reorganized the sect. Be it the outer sect, inner sect, or even the secret hall, the average strength of the disciples had increased greatly. His management system was also very good. It was obvious that he was more suitable to be the sect master than Li Qingzi. Because of his cultivation level, Li Qingzi had to fawn over many elders. Taoist Nine Cauldrons was at the 9th level of the Void Amalgamation realm, and was very close to the Body Integration realm. Very few people in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect were stronger than him. The elders didn't dare to show off in front of him. Under Taoist Nine Cauldrons' domineering control, the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and the Bloodfire Heavenly Sect truly began to merge. Currently, they had already entered a rapid development stage. All of this had nothing to do with Hanju. Taoist Nine Cauldrons also didn't disturb him. Every time the elders had a meeting, he didn't invite Hanju. However, the plan to raise the Immortal Mountain's spirit qi never stopped. From time to time, disciples would come over with newly discovered natural treasures to be planted on the mountain. After Hanju knew that the fiends were stirring, he felt a sense of danger. For the next period of time, he didn't come out of seclusion. A full 10 years passed. He consumed 2 full bottles of Xianqingjuan's pills. After 10 years, he finally broke through to the 3rd level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Hanju wasn't satisfied as his cultivation speed had slowed. He suppressed Xianqingjuan's cultivation to the 3rd level of the Mahayana realm, but he still couldn't defeat her. In other words, there was a high chance that he could not defeat the Fiend Emperor. After breaking through, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed. For more, visit Light Novel World. The others could be spared this time, but Ji Naiha was at the top of the list in order to prevent him from flying over and attacking now. As he cursed, Hanju checked his emails. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. Luo Qiuma's lifespan decreased by 1,000 years. This effect will continue to grow. Your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog was attacked by fiendish cultivators, X8211. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian was attacked by righteous cultivators, X17. Your Dao companion Xian Qingjun has left the mortal world. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian encountered an opportunity and received guidance from a powerful cultivator. Her cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X30009. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou turned into a true devil due to the ominous power. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by your good friend Mo Fuzhou. His body was torn apart. Fortunately, your good friend Xian Shishir saved his soul. Your good friend Xian Shishir was attacked by your good friend Mo Fuzhou. Her cultivation has weakened. Hanju frowned. He couldn't help but recall the demon tide caused by Great Sage Green Python a few decades ago. Now there were fiendish cultivators everywhere. Even Mo Fuzhou had become a true devil. Could it be that the devil race had been blessed by the heavens? Zhou Fan was too miserable. He died again. This time, he was killed by his good brother. He had definitely taken the path of blood and hatred. Hanju also noticed that Huang Jihao had been attacked multiple times. He remembered that Huang Jihao was also a Khanate cultivator with an innate sword heart. His cultivation level had also increased very quickly, almost reaching the void amalgamation realm. The demonic path is rampant, and we can't go out to play. I have to remind them. Hanju thought silently. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. He immediately sent a voice transmission to his disciples and told them not to go out. He also told Li Qingzi to remind Taoist Nine Cauldrons. Ever since Taoist Nine Cauldrons returned, this fellow had often gone out, determined to turn the Jade Pure Sacred Sect into the strongest sect in the cultivation world of the 10 states and 9 dynasties. Hanju finally understood why Li Qingzi was so reckless in the past. It was an inherited behavior. After completing the daily missions, Hanju continued cultivating. He wanted to defeat Xian Qingjun as soon as possible. Otherwise he would feel insecure. Inside a ruined palace, a white-haired man in a black dragon robe sat on a dragon throne. His face was handsome and demonic, and his lips were dark red. He was obviously not a good person. He was Fiend Emperor Jinaiha. Beside the dragon throne lay the chaotic heavenly dog. A black metal chain hung around its neck, making it look like a guard dog. The chaotic heavenly dog stared ahead numbly, as if it had lost its soul. I'm finally back. Do you know how prosperous my empire was back then? Jinaiha muttered. The chaotic heavenly dog did not answer. It was already used to Jinaiha talking to himself. In his opinion, Jinaiha was a madman. At this moment, footsteps sounded and 2 figures walked into the hall. The chaotic heavenly dog subconsciously took a glance and was stunned. It blinked, and when it took a closer look, its expression turned astounded. Wasn't this Master's disciple, Su Qi? Updated from Light Novel World. Com following Luo Qioma. Su Qi also saw the chaotic heavenly dog, but he didn't think too much about it. Before he left, the chaotic heavenly dog was still a fat dog. It was simple and adorable, but now it looked very ferocious. Your Majesty, I'm Luo Qioma. I'm willing to serve you. Luo Qioma cupped his fists and smiled. Jinaiha looked at him expressionlessly and said, You're the one who arranged for them to summon me, right? Tell me, if I unify the world, what do you want? Luo Qioma smiled and said, Your Majesty, being able to unify the world is what I want the most. When I ascend in the future, I will definitely join the demonic palace of the upper world. This is a mission that the demonic palace entrusted to us in our dreams. Jinaiha nodded slightly. He looked at Su Qi and frowned. Who is this? For some reason, when he saw Su Qi, he instinctively felt uncomfortable. He's the disciple of the Devil Master, and has received his inheritance. The Devil Master is busy cultivating and rejected my invitation, instead letting his disciple serve you. He actually didn't think much of Su Qi, but his identity was important. He represented the Devil Master, and could help them integrate the demonic path faster. Jinaiha asked, Does the Devil Master not want to serve me? Luo Qioma replied, He's solitary and bloodthirsty. It's good that he didn't join us. This attitude is sufficient. Jinaiha nodded expressionlessly. He slowly raised his right hand and pointed at the chaotic heavenly dog beside him. He said to Su Qi, "From today onwards, you will help me raise my dog and watch over it." Su Qi didn't dare to reject. The chaotic heavenly dog was secretly delighted. Could it be that Master had arranged for Su Qi to save it? That was good too. At least he had an ally around him. "I need your help." Jinaiha stared at Luo Qioma and said indifferently, "What is it?" "Go to the Great Yin and find a sect called the Jade Pure Sect. Kill a cultivator named Hanju." The moment that was said, the chaotic heavenly dog and Su Qi were moved. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calm Luo Qioma was stunned. Jade Pure Sect again. Why is it that even the Fiend Emperor wants to attack this sect? "Yes, I'll go when I'm free," Luo Qioma agreed, but he didn't care about this matter. "Yes, I'll go when I'm free," Luo Qioma agreed, but he didn't care about this matter. The Great Yin was too far away. He couldn't be bothered to go. Moreover, the Demon Lord had already accepted this task, so there was no need for him to go. Luo Qioma didn't like Jinaiha's instructions. "You want me to do something the moment we meet? I said that I'm willing to work for you. But I'm just being polite." However, what did the cultivator named Hanju do to make Jinaiha want to kill him? How long had it been since he returned? Luo Qioma was interested in Hanju. In his opinion, those who died on the path of cultivation were destined to be unable to obtain the great Tao. They were all failures. Jinaiha was only a tool to revitalize the demonic path. Then Luo Qioma bowed and left. Jinaiha stared at his back, his eyes flickering. "Luo Qioma has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Hanju was confused. What the hell? Could it be that he had developed feelings after the cursing? He immediately checked his interpersonal relationships. Luo Qioma, 4th level of the Mahayana realm, one of the 5 fiends of the demonic path. Because he was dissatisfied with Jinaiha who didn't give him face, he became interested in you. Current favorability, 1 star. Hanju was amused. The 5 fiends and Jinaiha were going to have internal strife? He immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and continued to play with Luo Qioma. Perhaps the irascible Luo Qioma would fall out with the Fiend Emperor because of this. 3 years later, Fang Liang's cultivation level was stuck at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Sun Chang'an discovered that his potential was limited and could not advance any further. When Fang Liang learned of this, he felt as if he was struck by lightning. He was in a daze. At this moment, Hanju called him into the Khanate cave abode. Updated from Light Novel World. Fang Liang was nervous. Could it be that Grandmaster wanted to expel him from the sect? The Black Hell Chicken, Yang Tiandong, and Morongqi were all geniuses. His potential was indeed inferior compared to them. After entering the cave abode, Fang Liang carefully walked around heaven and earth grass and knelt down in front of Hanju. "Grand Disciple greets Grandmaster," Fang Liang said nervously, not daring to look at him. Hanju raised his hand and placed it on his forehead. 6 paths spirit energy entered his body. A ball of qi in Fang Liang's body blocked his dantian, preventing him from refining the golden core. This qi was very mysterious. Even a body integration realm cultivator might not be able to discover it. It was no wonder Sun Chang'an could not. Hanju said expressionlessly, "Fang Liang, what's your cultivation pursuit?" Fang Liang was extremely nervous. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "Immortal Ascension." Why do you seek immortal ascension? For immortality, naturally. Will you be held back by power, benefits, and women? Not in the past and not in the future. My parents are dead, and I have no one to rely on. It was Grandmaster who took me in. I agree with Grandmaster's cultivation philosophy. Everything is inferior when compared to cultivation. If I give you a chance to soar, what will you do in the future? I'm willing to die for Grandmaster. I'll do anything. What? No, I should focus on cultivating and ignore the world. I shouldn't cause trouble for Grandmaster. Seeing Fang Liang's fear and trepidation, Hanju nodded in satisfaction. That was the right answer. Hanju immediately poured his six-path spirit energy into Fang Liang's body and said softly, "Your master said that your talent is not good, so I will create talent for you." Fang Liang felt the surging spirit energy in his body and was pleasantly surprised. How high is Grandmaster's cultivation level? Your disciple Fang Liang's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars 5 stars? It was not the highest. Secretly dissatisfied, Hanju said, "Humph, bound by fate. How can my grand disciple be restricted by fate?" Updated from Light Novel World. Calm. In that case, I'll sacrifice some of my cultivation. His muttering shocked Fang Liang. Grandmaster actually sacrificed his cultivation for me. Fang Liang's eyes turned red. Your disciple Fang Liang's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 6 stars. Hanju was expressionless, but he was very happy inside. He still had to play tricks after all. Boom! The qi in Fang Liang's body was dispersed by him. With Hanju's help, Fang Liang's spirit energy could not be controlled, and he started to condense his golden core. The moment the qi dissipated, Fang Liang felt as if his meridians had been unblocked. His senses became clear, and the world became completely different in his perception. Is this a transformation? Fang Liang was grateful to Hanju. Excited, 2 streams of tears flowed down. His grandmaster had cultivated bitterly for so many years in order to increase his cultivation. In the end, because of this good-for-nothing disciple, he had lost his cultivation. What could Fang Liang do in return? Fang Liang asked himself if he was of any help to Hanju, or even end up as a burden. Hanju had changed his life just because of that one encounter. From now on, Grandmaster is everything to me, my most important person, Fang Liang swore in his heart. At the same time, a change occurred in the sky outside the cave abode. 7-colored light appeared above the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The sea of clouds churned as if divine beasts were playing. Soon, snow began to fall from the sky. Golden snow descended, while the clouds and mist looked like they had human forms. They were like flowers scattered by a goddess, stunning all the disciples of the sect. What's with this phenomenon? The heavenly Tao is protecting our Jade Pure Sacred Sect. I've cultivated for 300 years, but this is the first time I've seen such a phenomenon. The providence of our sect is on the rise. Could it be that a genius has appeared? Updated from Light Novel World. Calm under the Fusang tree, the Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, and the others were also stunned. Chang Yuer, Li Qingzi, and Fairy Shixian couldn't help but walk out of their cave abodes to observe the phenomenon. Hanju didn't care about what was happening outside. He used his 6-path spirit energy to seal the cave abode, to prevent Fang Liang from discovering the anomaly outside. He wanted him to think that he was an ordinary person. Even with unparalleled providence, he had to believe he was mediocre. Such a personality could allow Fang Liang to live longer. Hanju didn't want him to walk Zhou Fan's path. The next day, when Fang Liang became a golden core realm cultivator and walked out of the Khanate cave abode, he felt as if a lifetime had passed. Sun Chang'an looked at him and asked in surprise, "You broke through?" "All thanks to Grandmaster." Fang Liang nodded. Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong, the Black Hell Chicken, and Morong Qi were surprised. Could it be that the phenomenon from yesterday was caused by Grandmaster? That made sense. Changing one's fate was a huge matter. They felt deep veneration for Hanju. He could do this for a disciple with limited talent. He looked indifferent, but actually had a warm heart. Fang Liang didn't say much. He walked to the Fusang tree and began cultivating. Less than half a year later, he broke through to the first level of the Golden Core Realm. 3 years later, he broke through to the second level of the Golden Core Realm. That was extremely fast. On this day, Fang Liang came to visit Hanju, who was puzzled but let him in. Grandmaster, a stone fell from the sky just now. It contains an extremely dense spirit qi. It should be a treasure. It landed on my head. I want to offer it to you. As Fang Liang spoke, he took out a stone. This stone was the size of a fist, and was dark purple in color. One look, and one could tell that it was no ordinary stone. Hanju took it and waved him away. Is this the son of heaven and earth? If you don't come out of your house, you will be given a fortuitous encounter anyway? Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Ridiculous. Hanju started to check the stone. After Feng Liang left the cave abode, Heaven and Earth Grass suddenly shouted, I've seen this stone before. You have. Hanju glanced at Heaven and Earth Grass and asked casually. You have. Hanju glanced at Heaven and Earth Grass and asked casually. Heaven and Earth Grass replied, she held such a stone when she cultivated. A stone used by an immortal god? Hanju stared at the dark purple stone in his hand, deep in thought. He used his divine sense to carefully examine it. Unfortunately, no matter how he looked at it, this was a spirit stone. It was just that the spirit energy it contained far exceeded other spirit stones. Hanju threw the stone beside Heaven and Earth Grass, wanting to see what effect it had. If it was only a spirit stone, then it was not worth it for the immortal god to hold on to it every day. Then, Hanju closed his eyes and continued cultivating. While he was busy cultivating, the cultivation world was in turmoil. The fiendish cultivators became more and more active, causing the righteous path to have a bad feeling. Previously, when Great Sage Green Python had swept through the world, the demonic sects had immediately fled. The ones who had started a war with Great Sage Green Python were mostly righteous sections. Therefore, after Great Sage Green Python died, the righteous sects were weaker than the demonic sections. Under such circumstances, the fiendish activity was unsettling. Then, a piece of news spread throughout the cultivation world. The Fiend Emperor from thousands of years ago had actually revived. He wanted to create the Demonic Path Empire, an empire ruled by fiendish cultivators. He was recruiting all the fiendish cultivators in the world to join him. For a time, all sorts of legends about the Fiend Emperor spread throughout the world. 7 years later, news of the Fiend Emperor's resurrection spread to the Great Yen. And at this time, the Demonic Path Empire had already been established for a period of time, ruling over a region. Taoist 9 Cauldrons gathered the elders in the main peaks meeting hall. Li Qingzi also came. When he heard that the Fiend Emperor had been revived, his expression was odd. Sigh, the world is going to be in chaos again. What are you afraid of? The Fiend Emperor is far away from us. In the cultivation world, the righteous and the demonic take turns to be strong. This is also the reason why there are so many heroes. We don't have to worry too much. That's right. Great Sage Green Python was so strong before, but he still died. The Fiend Emperor once united all the fiendish cultivators in the world. How many years ago was that? The times have changed. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm Taoist 9 Cauldrons noticed that Li Qingzi had a strange expression and seemed to want to say something. Suddenly recalling something, he asked, Elder Li investigated the Fiend Emperor several decades ago. Do you know something? Everyone immediately looked at Li Qingzi. Li Qingzi hesitated. A few decades ago, deity-slaying elder asked me to investigate the Fiend Emperor. He might have predicted something, but he did not say much. He also hoped that I would not spread this matter. Taoist 9 Cauldrons frowned. The elders couldn't help but whisper. Guan Yugang said in a low voice. Could it be that deity-slaying elder already knew that there would be such a calamity in the cultivation world? He didn't say it, because he was afraid that we would be worried. The elders agreed with these words. They all knew that the true pillar of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was the deity-slaying elder. Even he had specially asked around, so it was obvious that this calamity was not small. In that case, all contribution missions of the sect are restricted to the Great Yen. Tell all the disciples outside the Great Yen to return. Taoist 9 Cauldrons ordered. Lu Bummy said, Sect Master, I want to move the Blood Fire Heavenly Sect directly to the Great Yen. Is that okay? Taoist 9 Cauldrons shook his head. The Great Yen doesn't have so much space for you to cultivate. Establish a teleportation formation. All right. That day, the elders began to get busy. Hanju didn't know about this. He was still cultivating. He was still a distance away from the fourth level of the tribulation transcendence realm. On this day, heaven and earth grass was about to transform into human form. Strangely, it did not encounter heavenly tribulation when it transformed. Demons had to undergo heavenly tribulation before they could gain their human form. Hanju looked at the dark purple stone beside it. Could it be related to it? Heaven and earth grass emitted a blinding white light as the spirit chi in the cave abode surged into its body. Hanju narrowed his eyes. Was this a Pokemon or a Digimon evolution? Hanju secretly joked to himself. During his boring cultivation years, he liked to think about his past life to fill the emptiness inside. About 6 hours passed. Heaven and earth grass finally transformed successfully. It was slightly different from what Hanju had expected. It was not a lively and cute girl, but a very cold-looking woman. Hanju took out a Taoist robe from the little universe belt without changing his expression and threw it to her. After putting on the Taoist robe, Heaven and earth grass smiled. Master, how do I look? The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm Hanju said. It's all right. When a man commented on a woman's looks, all right usually meant beautiful. This is the appearance of my previous master. Hanju raised his eyebrows and sized up heaven and earth grass again. She was dressed in a white robe and looked even colder. Her black hair was scattered casually, and her face was beautiful. Her eyes seemed to be glimmering. Her eyebrows were beautiful, and her nose and lips were perfect. It had to be said that her appearance and figure were indeed worthy of a goddess. Among the women Hanju knew, only Fairy Shixian could compare. Master, how about I call myself Tao Comprehension Sword from now on? Heaven and earth grass twisted its body as it spoke, also sizing up its own body. Hanju's face twitched slightly. Tao Comprehension Sword. A fairy-looking appearance with such a name? Never mind, this would do. He was too lazy to think. It was just a blade of grass anyway. Yes. Hanju nodded in agreement. From then on, Heaven and Earth Grass was renamed as Tao Comprehension Sword. Tao Comprehension Sword blinked and asked, Master, shouldn't you teach me the sword Tao now? Hanju wasn't used to it. Previously, Heaven and Earth Grass was like a little girl. Now it was very mature. The difference was too great. Then, I'll teach you the unparalleled finger divine sword first. Just like that, Hanju began to teach Tao Comprehension Sword the technique step by step. Time passed quickly. The changes in the cultivation world were like the sea, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect remained calm. 13 years passed. Hanju finally broke through to the fourth level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm. He was pleasantly surprised to discover that ever since the appearance of the dark purple stone, the spirit chi in the Khanate cave abode had been constantly increasing, causing his cultivation speed to be not much slower than before. The potential of Tao Comprehension Sword also surprised him. After transforming, her cultivation speed was even faster. She was really talented in the sword Tao, and was even more outstanding than Hanju's disciples. Currently, she had already grasped the unparalleled Finger Divine Sword and the 3 Pure Shadow Sword. Hanju didn't continue teaching, mainly because her cultivation wasn't strong enough, and she couldn't control stronger sword techniques. Half a year passed. Xing Hongxian had returned. The moment she saw Tao Comprehension Sword, her expression changed. Who are you? Tao Comprehension Sword replied. Tao Comprehension Sword. What kind of weird name is that? Xing Hongxian was very unhappy as she looked at Hanju. Hanju said expressionlessly, Go outside and cultivate. Go outside. Tao Comprehension Sword curled her lips. This was the first time she was chased out by Hanju. However, she didn't dare to go against his will, and could only leave begrudgingly. Once she went out, Yang Tiandong and the others were shocked. Why is there a random fairy in Master's cave abode? She's formed from a grass that I nurtured previously. She can strengthen the spirit chi in my cave abode. Hanju explained simply. This was the truth. Grass. Xing Hongxian complained. Husband, if you desire a woman, you can tell me. I won't go out anymore. I'll move here to accompany you. Don't even think about it. Don't disturb my cultivation. But I miss you. Isn't it enough that you have the heavenly puppet? Huh? Xing Hongshuan's pretty face instantly turned red. Did Hanju notice her doing those things? Hanju changed the topic and asked, "How have you been all these years?" He wanted to ask if she had any treasures to give him, but felt that it was not good to be too direct. It would hurt her feelings. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Com. Xing Hongxian sat next to Hanju and started to tell him about her experiences over the years. Xing Hongxian sat next to Hanju and started to tell him about her experiences over the years. She had met a fiendish expert by chance and had been given pointers on cultivation. The fiendish cultivator was the disciple of one of the 5 fiends, the white-haired fiend lady. She was a body integration realm cultivator and wanted to take Xing Hongxian as her disciple. Xing Hongxian said that she had a husband and wanted to go back and ask. Although the fiendish cultivator was displeased, she still agreed. "Husband, are you afraid of offending a body integration realm cultivator?" Xing Hongxian asked. Her tone was full of teasing. Even a demon saint at the Tribulation Transcendence realm could not defeat her husband. What was there to fear about a body integration realm cultivator? Hanju said seriously, "I'm afraid. After all, she has a strong background. If we fight and I kill her, she'll ask her master for help. I'll have to think of a way to kill her master then. It's very troublesome." Xing Hongxian was taken aback. Hanju said, "It's not peaceful outside recently. Don't go out. You're already at the nascent soul realm. Your lifespan should be close to 1,000 years, right?" Nascent soul realm. That's right. This woman had already reached the nascent soul realm. Hanju felt that she was the real mortal cultivator who fought for fortuitous encounters. Xing Hongxian nodded and said, "I also think that the outside world is chaotic. More and more fiendish cultivators are appearing. That female fiendish cultivator said that the demonic path is going to rise. The fiendish cultivators in the world will respect the fiend emperor and then sweep across the world." "Husband, do you think that the fiend emperor can do it?" "No." "Why?" "When the demon rises by 1 foot, the Tao will rise by 10 feet. This is the way of the heavenly Tao." Xing Hongxian fell into deep thought. Hanju felt a little pity. This woman had been away for so many years, but didn't find any good treasures? Xing Hongxian flipped her right hand and said, "Husband, although I've had opportunities all these years, I haven't encountered any valuable treasures. What about this? Do you like it?" Hanju looked at her palm. It was a slightly pink crystal fragment. He picked it up and subconsciously probed it with his divine sense. He felt resistance. For more, visit Light Novel World. Hanju frowned and forced his divine sense to break through it. Boom! The crystal fragment turned into ashes instantly. Hanju's consciousness captured a memory. A palace located above the sea of clouds. A paradise with many fairies playing in the sky and laughing. After Hanju read this memory, he was surprised to find that his divine sense had become much stronger. Interesting. Everything happened very quickly. Before Xing Hongxian noticed Hanju's abnormality, it was already over. Yes, it is indeed a good treasure. Hanju smiled in satisfaction. Then, he took out the 9-star spirit trampling boots and gave them to her. He returned the favor. Xing Hongxian suddenly grabbed Hanju's hand and pressed herself against him. She leaned close and said with a slightly panting voice, "Husband." Hanju sighed and took off his clothes obediently. Xing Hongxian stopped him. Her eyes were like silk. She smiled playfully and said, "Don't be anxious. Take your time. Let's start while wearing our clothes." Hanju frowned. This woman was pushing her luck. A month later, all smiles, Xing Hongxian walked out of the cave abode. She nodded slightly at Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the rest before turning to leave. Dao Comprehension Sword frowned and asked in a low voice, "Why does she carry such a dense aura of masters?" The black hell chicken on the fusang tree laughed. "Because she ate master." Huh? Dao Comprehension Sword was alarmed as she hurriedly rushed into the cave abode. Sun Chang'an shook his head and said with a plain smile, "I wonder what is love." The black hell chicken snorted. Qianu is already dead. Sun Chang'an's smile froze. The black hell chicken was not joking. Qianu was indeed dead. She had died outside 10 years ago when she had gone out to train. Li Qingzi knew about her past with Sun Chang'an and had specially told him. In those few years, Sun Chang'an had been sitting in front of the Fusang tree, completely distracted. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm, stupid chicken. Sun Chang'an gritted his teeth. The black hell chicken smiled and said, "It's good that she's dead. Anyway, she doesn't like you. Cultivate well. When you ascend, I'll give you a fairy." Sun Chang'an grunted coldly and turned his head away, not looking at it anymore. Morong Chi couldn't stand seeing his master being bullied. He stood up and said, "Master Chicken, let's spar. Junior, let's fight it together." "All right." Fong Liang stood up looking eager. The black hell chicken was disdainful, but it felt a sense of danger. The two fools broke through too quickly. If this continued, they would eventually surpass it. Sigh. How great would it be if there was another Zhu Do? The black hell chicken looked down at the trunk of the Fusang tree, and a bold thought appeared in its mind. Why not leave the Fusang tree for a while? After comforting Dao Comprehension Sword for a while, and waiting for her to calm down, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune. The black hell chicken is getting bold again. Time to teach it a lesson. Hanju thought silently. Dao Comprehension Sword had just taken form, and didn't understand many things. Just now, she really thought that Xing Hongxian had eaten Hanju, causing her to be filled with hostility towards her. Hanju cursed Jinaiha and checked his emails. After so many years, he wondered how the cultivation world outside had changed. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou is sealed in the Forbidden Land by your good friend Xian Shishir. Your divine pet chaotic heavenly dog encountered your disciple Su Qi spreading bad luck. As it is a divine beast of providence, its good luck is offset by the bad luck. X6643. Your enemy Jinaiha has encountered your disciple Su Qi spreading bad luck, and his demonic nature has increased. Your good friend Huang Zuantian was attacked by a fellow cultivator, X15. Your good friend Luo Qioma was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X4921. Your beloved Xian Qingjun has returned to the mortal realm. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. Your good friend Zhou Fan reincarnated and recultivated, awakening the memories of his previous life. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X40024. Hanju frowned. Mo Fuzhou and Zhou Fan were too pitiful. One was sealed, and the other was reincarnated. There was also Huang Jihao. He had been attacked too many times. Before this, it was the same as well. Had this fellow entered the demon's den? It seemed like the Fiend Emperor's influence would affect the Great Yin sooner or later. Hanju felt a sense of danger. He had to hurry up and cultivate. He cursed and started cultivating after completing his daily missions. With the addition of the dark purple stone and Dao Comprehension Sword's transformation, the spirit qi in the cave abode increased greatly. Hanju's cultivation speed was not much slower than before. Hanju was actually not afraid of the Fiend Emperor. He had so many numinous treasures, and even grand unity numinous treasures. How could the Fiend Emperor kill him? He was only afraid that he wouldn't be able to insta-kill the other party. Sigh. This path of being careful is actually the most difficult. A month later, he continued to cultivate. Time passed quickly. Another 13 years passed. A piece of news reached the Great Yen. The demonic path empire led by the Fiend Emperor began to attack the righteous sects in the world. With irresistible force, the righteous sects were slaughtered one after another. The sects of the world and the various holy lands joined forces. The war between the righteous and demonic officially began. The various sects of the Great Yin were uneasy. It was worth mentioning that all the demonic sects of the Great Yin had left. Other than itinerant cultivators, there was not a single demonic sect left. They were also afraid of being eliminated by the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. While the cultivators of the Great Yin were panicking, Hanju successfully broke through to the 5th level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm. One day, Taoist Nine Cauldrons came to visit and interrupted his cultivation. One day, Taoist Nine Cauldrons came to visit and interrupted his cultivation. Hanju let him enter the cave abode. Taoist Nine Cauldrons was stunned when he saw Tao Comprehension Sword. Elder Han has a mistress in his house? This is my beast pet. She was born here. You don't have to worry about her leaking information, Hanju said. Pet. Taoist Nine Cauldrons revealed a subtle expression, as if saying, gotcha. Hanju rolled his eyes. This old thing was obviously experienced in those games. Very experienced. Taoist Nine Cauldrons said seriously. The Fiend Emperor has already started a war with the righteous sections. The world is in chaos. Fortunately, the demonic sects of the Great Yin have already fled. We're temporarily safe, but only for now. I want to ask your opinion. You have been paying attention to the Fiend Emperor since a long time ago. Hanju didn't change his expression and said, my view is very simple. Focus on developing. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect isn't the #1 sect in the world. It might not even be considered a third-rate sect. With our strength, we can't change the situation in the world. Instead of being cannon fodder, it's better to cultivate properly. If the sky falls, the righteous holy lands will hold it up. Why should we interfere? Taoist Nine Cauldrons felt that it made sense. He hesitated for a moment and asked, what's Elder Han's cultivation level now? When he heard that Hanju crushed a Tribulation Transcendence realm expert, he almost peed his pants. How many years had it been? Hanju's breakthrough speed was too exaggerated. Hanju replied, I'm still in the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Still? This word deeply agitated Taoist Nine Cauldrons. He knew Hanju's age. He was only 500 years old. He had never heard of a 500-year-old Tribulation Transcendence realm cultivator. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Ridiculous. Alright, I will do as you say. I hope the demonic path will not affect our great yin. Taoist Nine Cauldrons did not stay any longer and quickly left. After he left, Tao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, who is he? Hanju said calmly, Sect Master of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Can I visit the rest of the sect? Yes, as long as you don't leave the vicinity. Tao Comprehension Sword immediately jumped up and left. Hanju didn't mind and continued cultivating. He had also made the same arrangements with Morongqi and the others. They could move around in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, but not leave. Whoever dared to leave without permission would have nothing to do with him from now on. Hanju cursed as he checked his emails regularly. As expected, apart from the people of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, almost all of his good friends were attacked by the fiendish cultivators. The number of times Huang Jihao had been attacked exceeded 50,000. This fellow's cultivation had also increased tremendously. As expected of someone with Khanate providence, Luo Qiuma was also attacked by a fiendish cultivator. Hanju guessed that he was helping Ji Naiha recruit the fiendish cultivators. The fiendish cultivators were arrogant to begin with. How could all of them listen to the Fiend Emperor? They still had to fight first. From the looks of it, it would be very difficult for the Fiend Emperor to unite all the demonic cultivators in the world in at least 100 years. This wasn't a battle in the mortal world. Cultivators had all sorts of methods. If they couldn't defeat them, they could still escape. If they were subdued, they could still stab someone in the back. Hanju felt that the demonic path empire was a joke. How could a dynasty filled with brutes that could rebel at any moment possibly be established? The reason why fiendish cultivators were despised by others was not that their cultivation path was different. It was because fiendish cultivators were prone to cultivation deviation and slaughter. Sometimes they were even more dangerous than demons. After Zhou Fan reincarnated and recultivated, his progress was not bad. He had already reached the 8th level of the Qi Refinement Realm at the age of 13. Updated from Light Novel World. Hanju felt that he was really miserable. How many times had he died? This time, his life was deleted and started all over again. Emo Fujo was even worse. He had been bearing the responsibility of revenge since he was young. It wasn't easy for him to take revenge and follow Zhou Fan around. In the end, he was infected by the ominous power and became a true devil. Now, he got trapped in the ancient forbidden ground, and it was unknown when he would be able to see the light of day again. Hanju recalled the scene of him and Emo Fujo getting to know each other. At that time, Emo Fujo was like a gentleman. Be it man or woman, it was very easy to have a good impression of him. Times were different now. It was really quite amazing. This was the world of the living. Everyone had their own encounters and experiences. Hanju didn't sink into pity. Instead, he warned himself, I can't lose myself. I'm on the right path now. The evening sky was as beautiful as a painting. Countless fiendish cultivators floated in the air, holding various equipment. They all stared in one direction. It was halfway up a mountain. Blood had already stained the entire mountaintop, and corpses piled up at the foot of the mountain. A man stood on the mountainside with a sword in hand. His white robe was stained with blood and dyed a deep red. His hair was messy and filled with killing intent. Huang Jihao, the person who had gone up to the Jade Pure sect to challenge Hanju, had an innate sword heart. He left the Great Yin and was forcefully accepted by the true martial sect as a sword genius. Huang Jihao gasped for breath. He had already fought for 5 days and 5 nights, and his spirit energy was almost completely exhausted. At this moment, the billowing demonic clouds gathered as a vast heavenly might enveloped the world. Huang Jihao's expression changed drastically as his heart sank. A fiendish mighty figure had arrived. The demonic clouds that stretched for dozens of kilometers formed a terrifying giant face. A voice sounded, Junior, your talent is not bad. If you're willing to kneel, I won't kill you. If you insist on being stubborn, humph. It was Luo Chioma. Huang Jihao's expression darkened, and the hand holding the sword trembled. He felt an unprecedented sense of danger. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. He was no match for this demonic figure. Huang Jihao couldn't help but think of Hanju. No matter how strong this demon was, could he be a match for that senior? If I don't even have the courage to face this demon, how can I challenge that senior? I was born with the innate sword heart. I live for the sword and die for the sword. If my sword is no longer sharp, what's the point of me living? Huang Jihao muttered softly to himself. Just as Huang Jihao was about to raise his sword, a vast pressure descended from all directions, covering the sky and the earth. It caused all the fiendish cultivators in the air to fall as screams of agony filled the air. Luo Chioma, do you really think that the righteous path has no one left? I have been in seclusion for 1,000 years, and now I hear that the demonic path wants to control the world? What a joke. Old friends, long time no see. Has your cultivation improved? Haha, today, we will kill one of the 5 fiends of the demonic path, and bring glory to our righteous path. Since ancient times, evil cannot triumph over good. In the face of the demonic path, righteous cultivators should rather die than submit. Junior, you have done well. Hearing the voices coming from all directions, Huang Jihao let out a long sigh. A smile appeared on his face. The world was ravaged by the demonic path. Although the Great Yin was spared, they had always been paying attention to the affairs of the world, especially the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. It had already established contact with the surrounding cultivation world, and their information flow was faster and wider than before. The elders were overjoyed when they learned that all the righteous path figures had come out of seclusion. Many elders even wanted to participate in the slaughter of fiends. Fortunately, Taoist 9 cauldrons forcefully suppressed these comments and prevented the disciples from leaving the Great Yin. 7 years passed. Hanju was still stuck at the 5th level of the Tribulation Transcendence realm, while Feng Liang had already broken through to the nascent soul realm. The talent he displayed was even more ferocious than Morongqi, causing the disciples and grand disciples to worship Hanju even more. In their opinion, this was all due to Hanju changing his fate. The Son of Heaven and Earth had a unique providence in this world. Even Morongqi, the reincarnated war god of the upper world, could not suppress his radiance. At times, Hanju took the time to especially teach Feng Liang and Morongqi. He decided to let Feng Liang out. With this guy's luck, he would definitely be able to obtain a lot of opportunities. Hanju might get a share of the treasures. After all, Feng Liang had a favorable impression of him at 6 stars. After so many years of teaching, Feng Liang had already developed a cautious personality. With the providence of heaven and earth, it was difficult for him to die. The source of this content is Light Novel World. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.